just want one thing. Make that 21 men and 1 woman. Gladiators and renegades, each on his or her own track to Indy racing glory. It's pure wheel-to-wheel adrenaline, and the only thing they have to lose is everything. In 2004, the championship quest saw precision teamwork and split-second reactions. Brazilian Tony Kanaan completed every lap and captured the crown. Now the slate is clean, and he has bypassed the champion's choice of number 1, keeping lucky 11. As the 10th season of the IRL Indycar Series unfolds, all who turn its laps look deep inside. To be on top in October, one must begin March like a lion. Lambs need not apply. Sam Hornish Jr., racing the red and white of Team Penske, was the first to climb the podium in Miami last season. His success was fleeting. Beware the Ides of March. Buddy Rice became the newest American racing legend, tasting milk as the Indy 500 champion, only to be turned on his head one too many times. When he found out which way was up, a championship was out of reach. Kanaan and his Andretti Green crew are now marked men. Our reigning champ calls Miami home. And now 21 of his closest friends are moving in for the weekend. It's time to put away the valuables. The 2005 IndyCar season starts now.
Inches away at 214 miles an hour. Buddy Rice wins the Indianapolis 500.
I don't know how this is going to work.
Welcome to Firestone Race Day and the start of a new season and a new era in the IndyCar Series. Blue skies and the best drivers in the world have drawn race fans to Homestead. Will Tony Kanaan be able to repeat what he did last year and grab another title? Will Sam Hornish Jr. win again like he did in the first race of the season? And we will see the premiere of rookie sensation Danica Patrick. And hello, everyone. I'm your host, Todd Harris, for the IndyCar season in 2005. It is an old school feel with a new school attitude, and it should be a great day of racing. As we said at the top of the show, history will be made today as ESPN brings you side-by-side coverage. Here's how it looked. This box will be occupied by continual racing action. Above me, we'll have the list of the drivers in order as they are on the track, and of course, our commercial will run in its entirety on the left-hand side. Full audio, full video. Also on ESPN2, we'll have simulcast with our 7 onboard cameras being carried by our good friends and colleagues, Gary Gerald and Jacques Lazier. And I'm fortunate enough to have 2 great men who know a little something about being in the winner's circle joining me this year in the broadcast booth.
Who will win it in Texas? It's Scott Goodyear.
Second time in 3 years, Team Penske goes 1-2. This time it's Gilles Lefebvre winning the 87th Indianapolis 500-mile race.
2 of the best in the business. Apparently, they didn't get my footage in time, but we'll get to that another time. Gilles Lefebvre and Scott Goodyear. Scott, as we look to the talent pool here in 05 in the IndyCar Series, it is extremely deep.
Todd, we absolutely have the most competitive field that we've ever had in this series. When you think about it, 11 of 12 championship drivers from last year are returning with the same team again this season. Adrian Fernandez, who was an owner, comes now as an owner and a driver possibly later in the season. You think about all the competitive teams. Penske, Target, Rahal, and then Andretti Green Racing with championship Tony Kanaan. He won last year. Well, I have to say he's going to have a hard time repeating in 05.
One thing that Tony Kanaan was able to pull off last year is he completed every lap of every race. A remarkable feat, but can he do it again?
It's always a great feeling when you wake up in the morning and you know you're the champion, and you know, there is always somebody, especially back home, that reminds you that every day. But now it's a new year. We're gonna have to start all over again. When you win, that's what happens. You're always gonna be the target. So I don't feel any pressure. Just I'm gonna do my job like I always did, nothing different. And no matter how, no matter how many races we'll win, or if we lead most laps like we did, if we finish every lap like we did, the goal is to win the championship. And whatever I have to do to make it happen, I will.
Gilles Lefebvre, you maybe know Tony Kanaan better than most people. Can he do it again?
Todd, I think 3 things can happen with a champion. You can become overconfident, in which case you become more mistake prone. You can become a little bit blasé, like I've done it all before. You know, I don't need this stuff anymore. And in which case that would not be good for his championship. Or he can do exactly the same thing as he did last year, put the same amount of energy, put the same amount of focus on his work, which I actually think that's what's going to happen to Tony this year.
All right, for more on the champ, we head down to pit row and our Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Todd Kanaan's numbers from last year were most impressive. Not only did he win a championship and earn almost $3 million along the way, he completed every lap and every race along a grueling 16-race schedule. And champ, today, though, the slate is wiped clean. What will it take for you to duplicate that impressive season of a year ago?
We're not even pretending to do that again. So that's stuff that happens once in a while. So we're going to try to do our best this year. I think we do have very good organization. Nobody left. Same team, same people, same engine, as good as always. So we're going to try to just do our best and try to do, win another championship.
Start way back in 14th today. How long will you stay there?
Not long, believe me. You watch. You guys know me from last year. I'm being in the back before, so I'll be up there with my friends in a hurry for sure.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thank you.
My guess, by lap 5, he'll be 5th or better. You know, this race 1 year ago not only launched Tony Kanaan toward a championship, it also proved to be the highlight of the season for Penske Racing.
Hornish to the low side, Castro Neves to the high side, setting up for turn number 3. Hornish by a nose at the exit of turn number 4. Who's going to win it, Mike? Sam Hornish Jr. comes off of turn number 4. Here comes Nelly under the inside. Hornish will win it.
Going into last year, Marlboro Team Penske with two-time Indy 500 winner Helio Castroneves and two-time series champion Sam Hornish Jr. was thought to be the team to beat. However, the results were less than expected. 5 poles, but just 2 victories. Hornish here at Homestead in the season opener and Castroneves in the season finale at Texas. Not the results they were hoping for, but now it is a new season, and Marlboro Team Penske believes that it once again is a team to be reckoned with.
We are very focused. It will be a very competitive season again, and hopefully we're gonna be right there on top of the line.
In this sport, the combination of driver, chassis, and engine greatly determines a team's ultimate success or failure. Series insiders say that last year, Honda engines had a distinct horsepower advantage over the Chevrolet and Toyota power plants, leaving Marlboro Team Penske at a huge disadvantage.
We knew we were always fighting an uphill battle. Not only did we have to have the car handle a little bit better, we had to drive at 10/10ths all the time. And I think that's what got us in trouble a couple times, or at least got me in trouble.
Achieving what we did in the last 4 races last year, capturing the pole position, that was incredible for us. Obviously, that's not all. Racing wins and championship, and that's what we're looking for. We won the first race, we won the last race, and that created great momentum for 2005.
Sam Hornish Jr. and Helio Castroneves are 2 of 18 drivers returning this year. They will be joined by 4 new faces. Patrick Carpentier makes his IndyCar debut, as well as the rookie everybody's been talking about her, Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick, just another pretty face?
How many speeding tickets have you talked your way out of?
6.
6? What do you say? Oh, you just bat the eyelashes, huh?
Or are her obvious looks just a fraction of what she brings to racing? Since she was 13 years old, getting a start on ESPN2, she has climbed the ranks of the open-wheel ladder system. Yesterday, Danica qualified 9th at her first IndyCar event, proving she is a force to be reckoned with. And I'm joined now by Miss Danica Patrick. Danica, the day has finally come. What is your personal goal today?
I think I just need to keep my nose clean, stay out of trouble, don't do anything silly, make sure I hit my marks in the pit lane, and race clean. I don't want to go out there and look like a wimp in any kind of situation, but I don't want to be stupid either. And so it's a fine line I'm going to walk because of my experience level. But I got to tell you, I'm going to do what I can do, and I'm going to keep my foot down as much as I can do that, and hopefully go forward, really.
Now you're starting in the middle of the pack. You have experienced drivers in front of you and back of you. You've never run in a traffic situation like this. What is your strategy?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'm just going to take what I did in practice sessions, because they do a lot of running together in practice to see how your car handles, and I'm just gonna stick with what I learned there, which has only been a few sessions worth, but I think it's enough to get me through this first race, and I'm sure I'll learn a ton more today.
Well, it's no surprise to any of us. There's been some controversy surrounding you and the way you've been marketed. How do you balance your sexuality with being considered a serious race car driver?
I think there are two sides to a race car driver. There's the marketability side that attracts sponsors and lures people in and lets them sell their product to the best of their ability, like hopefully I've done for Argent and Pioneer. They're new on board now. But, you know, anyone else that may be out there looking too, you have to stay out there. And it's you know, sponsors sometimes turn over, and you just have to be open to all different situations. But the bottom line is that it allows me to race cars, which is what I'm here to do today.
Bottom line, Todd, she has the full package, and all eyes will be on number 16.
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. We'll re-examine the Danica factor with my two colleagues, but as we said at the top of the show on ESPN2, live simulcast coverage using our 7 onboard cameras, and giving us that call, our good friends Gary Gerald and 2001 Chicagoland Speedway winner Jacques Lazier.
Todd, I tell you what, we're excited. Everybody is excited, and why not? This racing has produced some fantastic finishes of late. You see pack racing at well over 200 miles per hour. We've got onboard views galore today, and I've got the insight of Jacques Lazier, who's going to tell us what it feels like.
I'll tell you what, Gary, if you're a fan of going over 220 miles an hour in these cars, and you like what you see, you got to watch this show.
Absolutely. It'll be exciting, and it's an innovative way to kick off a 10th anniversary season of the IndyCar Series.
Thank you, Gary and Jacques. When we return, we'll further examine the debut of Danica Patrick, and Jill and Scott will give their opinion on how she might respond to the pressure. Moments ago over Homestead Miami Speedway, our flyby courtesy of the 482nd Fighter Wing at Homestead Air Reserve Base, the 93rd Fighter Squadron Makos F-16s, pilots Major Wiggle, Major Smith, Captain Lytle, and Captain McGill. Well, we talk about the Danica factor. Scott, bottom line is she can sell, no question about that, but can she drive?
With her experience level that she has right now, Todd, she's got a big road in front of her. Cars are going 50 miles an hour faster than what she's used to. The key thing today for her, though, will be pit stops, because a certain factor for her, she's never had a live pit stop. That will be her crux today if there is one.
Pressure is going to be immense. Jill, how do you think she responds?
I think the key thought in my mind right now, Todd, is every year you have 4 or 5 rookies coming into the series, and unfortunately it's a harsh world out there. So 5 years from now, out of those 4 or 5, you only have 1 or 2 maximum that will still be in the series. Will she be one of those that will be here in 5 years down the road? I don't know. I mean, she comes in with good credentials, as does Ryan Briscoe, by the way, and I think she's shown well in practice. She should do well today.
Quite possibly on the opposite end of the spectrum, a guy with a lot of experience, and he makes things exciting. Thomas Schechter, our pole sitter. And Jill, if you like racing and you like action, watch this guy.
I tell you, this guy, he takes it to the limit. I mean, he just needs to relax a little bit. You know, he had a lot of incidents last year. Today, he's got the fastest car. And when you have the fastest car, you don't need to take that many chances. And I think Thomas has a great chance to win today. He's my pick.
All right, so Gilles DeFerrin's going on a limb, going with Thomas Schechter. Scott, what do you think?
Well, you know, first off, Thomas Schechter does have the fastest car here, and I think something that Jill said, that, you know, he's overconfident sometimes. I spoke with him yesterday, certainly very, very confident, which gets him in trouble. He's been on 3 different teams in the last couple of years. If he doesn't finish this year and start winning races, he will be out of this series.
All right, we are almost set to go green. Before we do that, our Grand Marshal here, Roy Jones Jr., the famed prize fighter.
And now, with the most famous words in motorsports, here's our Grand Marshal, world-renowned boxer Roy Jones Jr.
Homestead, Miami, Florida, are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Thank you for watching Firestone Race Day. When we return to Miami, we're going green. We've had 10 years of IRL racing and a lot of history of IndyCar series. Here it is in a nutshell.
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. The cars beginning to roll. We are moments away from the start of the season opening Toyota Indy 300. Let's take a look at several super teams in the sport. We begin with the Fab Four of Tony Kanaan, Dan Weldon, Dario Franchitti, and Brian Herta, who combine to produce 5 poles, 8 wins, and a championship for Andretti Green Racing. Now joined by team co-owner Michael Andretti. And Michael, got to ask you, how does this mega team top what you guys did back in 2004?
Well, it's definitely a challenge for sure, but you know, we know we're all up for it. We've done a lot of hard work over the winter, and you know, there was areas where we felt we can improve the team, and hopefully we've made the right adjustments, and hopefully we can keep our little bit of edge that we had last year.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Vince?
Roger Penske's driver, Sam Hornish Jr., has won 3 of the 4 events here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and Helio Castroneves led nearly half the laps here last year as his team finished 1-2 with Sam winning and Helio finishing second. Roger, what's the key today to having another pair of drivers finish up front?
Well, I guess do the same thing we did last year and maybe keep going from our Texas win. We've got a little more power this year. I think the 2 drivers are going to work together. They had a lot of good conversation. I think running together is going to be key in the first part of this race, because if you run side by side, it's going to be difficult to pass.
It's Roger Penske. Thank you, Roger. Jamie Little?
Well, Team Rahal Letterman Racing has a new addition to the family this year. They've gone from a 2-car team to a 3-car team. Of course, adding Danica Patrick alongside Indy 500 winner Buddy Rice and Vitor Mira. You're looking now at co-team owner Bobby Rahal. I asked him, why Danica, of all the fast drivers out there you could have chosen? He simply said she's the first woman in racing that has the total package. Guys, he truly believes she can become the first woman to win an IndyCar race.
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. As we take a look at our Toyota starting grid. Row number 1, Thomas Scheckter gets the pole. He will be next to Vitor Mira, number 17 on the outside. Row number 2, Thomas Engie, a rookie, next to Indy 500 winner Buddy Rice, number 15. Row 3 looks like this. It's Dario Franchitti on the inside with Scott Sharp, renewed power on the outside. In row 4, Helio Castroneves and teammate Sam Hornish Jr. running for Team Penske. Row 5, Danica Patrick and Roger Yasukawa. Row 6, it's Dan Weldon, part of the Andretti Green team, and Darren Manning, part of Target Chip Ganassi. Row 7, Brian Herta and Tony Kanaan, teammates for Andretti Green. Row number 8, Koski Matsura and Scott Dixon, the champion back in 2003. Alex Barron is in row 9 on the inside, and A.J. Foyt the fourth, number 14, on the outside of row number 9. Patrick Carpentier in the Red Bull and Ed Carpenter on the outside, the Vision Racing, one of our new teams. And finally, Paul Dana, a rookie, and Ryan Briscoe on the backside. Well, there is your pole sitter in Thomas Scheckter. Scott, I'm going to put you on the line. Who do you like?
I like Vitor Mira on the outside. Spoke to him the other day. Very confident, very quiet. He'll get the job done today.
And Gilles?
I told you before, I think Thomas Scheckter, he's got the fastest car. And I think he's going to get a lot calmer this year. I think the key to the race today is, you know, do you take all the downforce off or not?
The green flag is out. 2005 IndyCar Series is off. You want March Madness? I got your March Madness right here. We're going 200 laps on the 1.5-mile oval. Thomas Scheckter staying out front. Vitor Mira, we talked about this gentleman. He tucks right in behind him.
Yeah, right now he was doing the smart thing by staying tucked behind. Now he's trying to go by Scheckter on the outside of turn 4.
Jill, you know when you've been off all winter and you're getting that race car for the first time, the first thing you want to do is lead the first lap, just like Vitor did right there.
Keep your eye on Tony Kanaan. He said to our Dr. Jerry Punch that he was going to be moving up, and Vitor Mira, he has certainly come to play.
Interesting to note right there that the Pennzoil car seems like it goes through the turn just a little bit quicker than Vitor's car does on the outside.
So as they come through one more time, it's Thomas Scheckter and Vitor Mira, then Buddy Rice, and the 6 of Sam Hornish Jr. This track, Gilles, he has almost dominated for the last 4 years.
I tell you, he's been so fast here, Scheckter, over the last few days of practice. If I was Vitor, I would just tuck him behind Thomas like he's doing and try to pull away from everybody else.
Right now we have the number 2 car coming into the pit lane, and that's the other Chevrolet powered car. Guys, we were talking earlier this week, will the Chevrolet powered cars make it through this race with all the horsepower they've developed here in the last little while? Right now, Thomas Scheckter knows that his teammate's already in pit lane.
Schecter's in the pits, but his teammate excuse me, Eng is in the pits. His teammate, Thomas Scheckter, is out in front, and he has led, not led, this is the first time he's led since Kentucky of last season. But as we said at the top of the show, gentlemen, Thomas Scheckter is a guy to keep your eye on, always exciting, always pushing it, and he is actually working with Vitor Meirasgil as they're pulling away.
Very smart thing they're doing now. They're just slowly pulling away from Buddy Rice, as you can tell.
Let's check in quickly down on pit road with Jamie Little.
Well, guys, it's a gearbox issue. He cannot get the car into 4th or 5th gear. Tough break, only 1 lap down.
Well, that's tough, Scott, right off the bat.
Well, that's the same problem that he had yesterday. I spoke to him after the final warm-up, of which he did not participate in. He said there has been a gear selection problem, could not fix it for warm-up, thought they would have it fixed for today, but that's a bad case for that situation right there for Thomas Enge.
So the Rockstar Chevrolet, as Jamie Little report, he is down right now, missing those 2 gears as we go on board with Tony Kanaan.
Well, Tony said it. You know, it wouldn't take very long for him to get up front, and he right now is running 8th. I think he is now probably going to calm down and see what's going to happen. Now, he's in no hurry. He can see the leader right in front of him, and he can take his time a little bit. He's changing the weight checker now. He's probably handling not so good.
Just ahead of him, quite possibly the best battle taking place, and that is Sam Hornish Jr. overtaking Buddy Rice on the outside. Rice now has the inside line, and there it's Helio Castroneves. As they come down the straightaway, there's Buddy Rice, number 15, in the blue and red Argent Pioneer vehicle. Behind him is Sam Hornish Jr. in the red and white Penske vehicle. Scott, what do you think of those times? About where you thought they'd be?
We talked the other day, Jill and I, and we said 208 to 211 miles an hour, so right where they are. But the thing that they have to consider right now is, are they running full rich on the fuel system, meaning producing a lot of horsepower for this speed? At some point in time, the pits are going to tell them, turn the fuel down, make the engines run lean, get some fuel mileage so you can extend your fuel window.
Dario Franchitti, the front of your screen on the left-hand side, number 27. On the outside, that is Dan Weldon, his teammate. And Dan Weldon battling for 5th right there. Jill, you know he is not one to sit back and wait. Patience is not one of his best qualities.
No, Weldon is a very aggressive driver, and he looks like he definitely wants to get by Franchitti. Franchitti's car does not look very good. It looks like he's understeering a little bit. That's why he's coming up the racetrack in the middle of the turn. And here comes Weldon around the outside. I think he's going to make it eventually.
They are teammates. 27, Dario Franchitti on the inside. 26 is Dan Weldon on the outside.
He made it.
We are 10 laps in, scheduled for 200. Your leader, Thomas Scheckter, being trailed closely by Vitor Meira and Vitor Meira's teammate in Buddy Rice.
Buddy Rice now has caught up to the 2 leaders. You know, he took a few laps, I think, to get going. Maybe the tire pressure was a little bit too low, and his car might not have been feeling very good at that time. But now he's slowly catching up to the leaders again.
Thomas Scheckter out in front. You are looking at Buddy Rice, number 15. He is the defending Indianapolis 500 winner. But it is Scheckter, Meira, and Rice, 1, 2, and 3, as we check in on pit row with Vince Welch.
Scott Sharp started 6th in the Delphi Fernandez Panos, but he's all the way back to 15th. He's lost 9 spots, but no problems with the car. Talked to a crew member. They said he's just settling in. It's a long race. They just want to get comfortable and go from there. But right now, no problems for Sharp, despite dropping 9 spots.
All right, thank you, Vince. Scott, you saw that as he made that pass on Patrick Carpentier. A very impressive move. He has the strength, no question about it. Scott Sharp may be one of the fittest drivers as we are going yellow into turn 2. We've got smoke coming out the back.
Now that is the 3rd Honda motor that we've seen go this week, guys, because a couple of them went in practice. So are they pushing those engines so hard to keep up with the Chevrolet power? It'll be an interesting race to see how many Hondas may fall out today.
That is the 27 ride of Dario Franchitti. Something gave loose, so Andretti Green down to 3 cars, and he can't even make it in to pit entrance there on turn number 3. An unfortunate turn of performance for Dario Franchitti. Indy Racing has no timeouts, and the same goes for ESPN. You're watching continuous coverage. We call it side by side.
Guys, it's expected to be a routine stop for Thomas Scheckter, your leader. Fuel and tires. Vince?
Both the Penske drivers are complaining about a push. Helio Castroneves and Sam Hornish Jr. are both in for their stops. Castroneves getting a slight turn of front wing in his car, and now both cars are off for Team Penske.
Wow, a bottleneck there, and Thomas Scheckter gets shuffled back. The problem he had was Scott Dixon was coming into his pit, Scott, and he couldn't speed up. Now remember, the speed limit on pit row was 60 miles an hour, and Brian Barnhart, the president of Arrow, said he will harshly enforce that.
Well, he's certainly looking at that. There's a new timeline system actually in the pit lanes right now. Speeds are controlled electronically. They always know what's going on.
Look at that. There's the pit exit there. The report, basically, the red arrow shows they dropped. The green arrow, they moved up. And Thomas Scheckter drops all the way back to 4th place, with Scott Dixon moving up, as well as the 3 car in the 55.
I think what they did with Scott Dixon was what we call short fueling. You don't put all the fuel in there, so you have a quicker stop.
Let's send down to pit row Dr. Jerry Punch with Kyle Moyer.
And guys, Kyle Moyer, the team manager for Dario Franchitti, and one of the early cars out here. And Kyle, we saw smoke. What was the problem?
Well, I mean, you saw the smoke, you know, so you know what happened there. Something that usually ever happens with the Honda. You're usually really good with it. And it's just one of those things, you know. Tony Stewart had this at Daytona a couple years back, went on to win the championship. So, I mean, we got our work cut out with this. We had a pretty good car, just doing our fuel deal and everything like that. But, you know, now we got our work cut out with this rest of the season, but the other guys will handle it today.
No warning at all? Do you have any indication you were going to have a problem at all?
No, she just went right away.
All right, tough break. You see the long faces here in the Dario Franchitti pits.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Punch, as we get a look at Tony Kanaan, currently running 14th, started 14th, so he really hasn't done anything. Good to note, though, Brian Herta, Dan Weldon, and Paul Dana, as well as Alex Barron, did not pit. So they are out of sequence as we go on board with Danica Patrick. And you got to say, so far, so good, Jill, for her.
I think she's doing okay. She's keeping her nose clean. Yeah, she's fine. All she has to do is hang in there and not get into too much trouble. I mean, it's early in the race. There's plenty of time.
The one thing for her right now, though, Jill, as you well know, not only at the beginning of the season, you want to make sure you get the first stop in cleanly when you're an experienced driver, but when you are a rookie, that first stop is monumental. You just want to get in, get out without any incident, and that's what she's done.
Lap 17 complete here at the Toyota Indy 300 Homestead, Miami, as we set it back down to pit row and Vince Welch.
Ray Lato's the engineer for Danica Patrick. How was her first stop, and what's the reaction from her in the early stages of this race?
We're doing fine. We had we played a conservative. Everybody took their time. We got a nice clean stop in. Got that first stop jitters out of the way early here today. I think we're doing fine. She was just settling in. Got a bit of understeer in the car right now. She's just feeling out the traffic. I think we're doing pretty well.
The pit stops are going to be key for her today. Did you give her any particular instruction heading in?
Well, we've been practicing at every test we go to. The guys are really consistent, and it's just a matter of not losing time in the pits. I think that's what we talked about was, there's nothing to be gained by trying too hard. It's just being conservative and trying not to lose it.
So far, so good for Danica Patrick.
All right, thank you very much, Vince. ESPN's presentation of the Toyota Indy 300 is brought to you by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's moving forward. And by Firestone. And by Target. Expect more, pay less. As you see the top 5 right now, a quick shuffle. Thomas Scheckter, as we go on board with him, quite possibly the biggest loser in that last pit exchange.
No doubt about it. This is Thomas' biggest challenge to date now. He was leading. That's always a nice position to be. Now is when he has to calm down. He has his first disappointment of the race, but his car is good enough to go all the way back to the front. So now he can take his time to get there.
We do remind you as we go on board with Brian Herta, our current leader. Herta, Dan Weldon, Paul Dana, and Alex Barron did not pit, so they are out of sequence. Scott, good move?
A good move as long as they don't have to come in underneath the green for the next fuel stop. We'll have to wait and see.
And they are bringing them up to speed. The green flag is out, and they accelerate.
Watch out for Paul Dana. That's
to the inside. You got to be kidding me.
That's not going to fly, guys. Underneath the white line. Jill, you touched on it a second ago. Calm down, Thomas Scheckter. Make sure you do everything correctly. I don't see that as working.
He's in a hurry again.
Well, he's got a lot of laps to get it done, and we're only in lap 20 at 200.
Someone needs to let him know we've got 180 to go, but
there you go. You see, he realizes that. He's actually getting off the gas and letting everybody that he passed in front of him. There he goes. And the key thing about that, you can let off and let people by, but you can do that accordion thing. It's been your mistake. Right. You've now turned around, take your foot off the gas. Nobody expects it, and bang up, you end up causing an accident.
Well, let's look at it one more time from his point of view. I thought for a second there he had a second thought on pitting, and here it is. On board with Thomas Schechter as he drops down low.
Lots of speed, doesn't know to go left or right, and there he is way below the white line. Boy, that's a good thing the pavement's there.
I gotta tell you, it didn't look to me like he jumped the start though, because I was looking at the little light on the right-hand side of the screen, and it looked green to me, but obviously he was going much faster than everybody else.
Oh, absolutely no jump at the start, and as you know, the rules are you can go whenever it turns green, but the key thing right now is you cannot pass underneath that white line.
We have a new leader. That is Dan Weldon, number 26, the runner-up last year to Tony Kanaan in the IndyCar Series. And Dan Weldon has certainly got his tires up to speed, but we remind you, he has yet to pit so far. You know, he started 11th, moved up to 4th. Now he finds himself in 1st place.
I tell you, we talked so much about Tony Kanaan and the start, and he could do this great start and all that kind of stuff, but the man of the early race, you're looking at him right now. He started way back in somewhere in 13th, I believe, and now he's leading the race. He's done wonderful.
Dan Weldon out in front. He inherited that lead from Brian Herter, who came out of our last pit stop in 1st place. Now the teammates run 1 and 2. Brian Herter right there, number 7 on the XM satellite ride. Brian Herter's a guy at the top of the show. In talking with Dr. Jerry Punch, he thought Brian Herter would be the guy to beat today.
Well, a very technical driver, does a lot of the development work for the Andretti Green Racing team. So you watch Brian Herter right now, and you mentioned that those guys didn't stop. So let's remember that those cars are lighter for fuel load right now because the other guys have filled up with fuel during their stops. So lighter car is going to go faster. But right now, Brian Herter, I'm sure he wants to win. He's just trying to tuck in behind his teammate directly in front of him right now. He's trying to save some fuel because they did not stop.
Gilles, in a sport that carries speeds in excess of 210 miles an hour, it's kind of hard to preach patience to your driver, isn't it?
I'll tell you, if one guy can have patience, Brian is the guy. I mean, he's been racing for many, many years. I raced all my IndyCar career against Brian. He's very, very smart, very experienced, and I think he's doing totally the right thing.
And let's send it down to pit road. Dr. Jerry Punch with a very disappointed Dario Franchitti.
Exactly, Scott, and one of the preseason favorites here, Dario. A frustrating beginning to the year for you, huh?
I can't hear a word you said, Jerry.
A frustrating day for you. Any warning at all?
No, I got some warning coming out of turn 4 there, and I took it as far as turn 1 to let go, so very frustrating. Bit of small imbalance in the car, but we could have fixed that in the first stop, and not the start we were looking for at all.
Dario Franchitti, disappointment here at Homestead, Miami.
Well, Dario Franchitti earned his first IndyCar Series victories in 2004, winning at Milwaukee and Pikes Peak, part of that Andretti Green team, extremely fast. They still have 3 cars out there, so Dario will cheer on the rest of his teammates, and we've got action once again involving the 4, and he is getting awfully close to Helio Castroneves, the 3 car.
And here comes Thomas Schechter again. He's going in 3rd place. See how fast he is. He just blew by Helio. And he's now in 3rd place chasing Brian Herter and Dan Weldon. He's really fast.
Scott, talk about the Chevrolet. What is the story? They have certainly turned the corner here in Miami.
Well, you know, we saw a hint of this last year at the very last race at Texas where Thomas Schechter was very, very fast and led, but the Chevrolet power plant actually did not complete the entire race. There, this weekend, they're looking at it and saying, you know something, we think we have the power. Will we finish? We don't know. There's only one car out there right now that will be able to tell the difference, and that's the Honda power cars.
On board with Tony Kanaan, and Kanaan right now sits in 7th place. So Kanaan being consistent, he is the man last year who completed every lap of every race on his way to winning the title. And there is Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick, as you pointed out, the only female in the field today, the rookie on board, and she has done exactly what she's had to do. Very impressive. The Toyota 300 is live. And we are watching Danica Patrick on board. Vince Welch made a great point in his interview saying we are going to do exactly this. Bring her along slowly, Scott. And as a driver of Danica's stature, they're doing perfect for her.
When I spoke with her the other day, she says, you know I have to finish all the races for the pure fact that I need the experience to be able to learn. The learning curve for me is going to be huge. She's gone through the first pit stop that we mentioned right now. She's probably settled in. Now she's trying to learn about the car, learn about the other drivers that are out on the racetrack that she's not raced against before.
Let's quickly go on pit row with Jamie Little.
John Barnes here looking at the monitors. He's team owner for Team Panther Pennzoil car. That's number 4, Thomas Schechter. The man is definitely on a mission. John, what was the difference today?
We're just kind of gained some fuel mileage right
right now. We're just hanging out. Everything's fine.
Everything's good. They just want to log some laps, guys, and hold her till the end.
We have gone yellow here at the Toyota Indy 300. Debris on the track. As we go back on board with Thomas Scheckter. Speaking of yellow, this guy, I don't think he knows the word patience. On lap 32, he has taken some serious chances, Jill.
I tell you, he's taken some serious chances, but he's seriously fast as well. And I think if he keeps his head together, he'll challenge all the way to the end of the race. Somebody's mirror on the racetrack.
So that is what brings out the yellow, or
I tell you, you don't want to drive around here without a mirror because you need to see where everybody is. That's not going to be much fun, whoever mirror that is.
And the speeds really come down as we go back on board with Thomas Scheckter. Now on board with Brian Herta. And it looks like we're hearing that it's Helio Castroneves' left mirror, the white mirror, that has come off on the front straightaway. So the safety crew, the Delphi safety crew, will pick that up. And there is your leader, the 26 of Dan Weldon.
Well, the key thing about a mirror, yes, you don't have both mirrors in the car any further, but it's important to note that you have the spotters up on top of the roof that have radio communication down to the drivers continuously all the way around the racetrack. You can bet now that the spotter for Helio Castroneves will end up giving a little bit more information to Helio throughout the remainder of this race.
You are looking at your leader, Dan Weldon, number 26, as they bring it all back together and gives a chance for Thomas Scheckter to catch his breath and maybe the rest of the spotters. Behind Scheckter, though, a very formidable team in Helio Castroneves, number 3, and his teammate Sam Hornish Jr. in 4th. Well, Sunday night, ESPN's NBA matchup features some of the biggest superstars in the league as Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat try to persevere a likely seed in the playoffs, while LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers are looking to get one step closer to their first trip to the playoffs in 7 years. NBA Sunday on ESPN at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for more information, you can always log on to ESPN.com. So there's Helio Castroneves -1 left mirror, and the other night he had worse problems than that. Both men from Miami, and I think everyone knows the man on that side. That's Shaquille O'Neal, standing 7 feet tall. Helio Castroneves goes about 5'6", 150 pounds, so don't be too impressed, but Shaq gives him the lift. Who says IndyCar drivers can't stand tall? Shaquille O'Neal, a big fan of sport racing and speed to that as the pits open up as we check in with Vince Welch.
Helio Castroneves is coming in. You've already noted that he's missing his mirror. Tim Cindric, team president, and the man who communicates with him on the radio said, don't worry about it. You've got a spotter. You'll be fine. There were no changes requested for Helio Castroneves. He says the car is just fine. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Likewise, no changes for Dan Weldon, our leader, as he gets out of pit road. Right in front of him, Brian Herta, almost contact as well as this carefully avoids another car exiting the pit.
There is our pit exit graphic. Thank you very much, gentlemen. 3 moves up, as does 11.6, but a drop for 26 Dan Weldon. He went into the pits first, Jill, and for his first pit stop of the season, not a great grade.
No, not a very good pit stop for him, but Helio came out very well, and I think Tony Kanaan was a real beneficiary of this pit stop. He comes out of pit second.
There is the 26 of Dan Weldon, who has dropped back considerably. And here's the race to the line. There's the 3 of Helio Castroneves. That's amazing how quick they can get a left rear view mirror on. Unbelievable performance. Well, the Toyota 300 is live, and we're keeping you in the driver's seat with side-by-side action on ESPN. There is your top 5, the Toyota Indy 300. Patrick Carpentier out in front, Ed Carpenter, Paul Dana, Helio Castroneves, and Tony Kanaan. Interesting note, though, Carpentier, Carpenter, and Dana did not pit, and Paul Dana has yet to pit in the race. 37 laps in as they bring it up to speed, and the green flag is back out. So it's Carpentier, the 83 Red Bull Chiva ride, out in front, leading them in on the green flag as we have completed 39 laps. And Tony Kanaan once again playing the patient waiting game. He told our Dr. Punch it wouldn't be long till he would be up front with his friends.
And here he goes for the lead. He's going to pass Carpentier. See
so
you
much
later.
for his friends.
Bye-bye.
What a great start for him, and also not far behind Sam Hornish Jr., who weaved his way high and low, and now is running right behind his teammate Helio Castroneves, which you can see looking backwards here, just right beside Patrick Carpentier.
I tell you, Helio just chose the wrong side, and my rule when I was racing this is, if in doubt, go high.
Absolutely.
So Carpentier, who was our leader at the start of the green, gets squeezed down to the inside by a pair of Penske's, the red and white. Carpentier, the 83, currently sitting in third, and he's about ready to lose another position. We've got a driver, on the outside coming all the way around, and once again, it's the 26 of Dan Weldon.
He cut right in front of Sam Hornish, and here's Dan is really fast. I mean, I can't believe how fast he is, and very aggressive as well.
Very fast, and you saw the car hitting the bottom as we watch Thomas Scheckter right now going around the outside of Patrick Carpentier. Remember, Carpentier did not pit. A lot of older tires on that car right now, and another yellow is out for debris.
So we have yet another yellow flag on board with Thomas Scheckter, and you get the feeling, guys, if Thomas Scheckter and Dan Weldon come down to a 10-lap sprint, what's going to happen there? Scott Sharp, as we go and take a look at the 8 Delphi ride, a guy who had a lot of promise at the start of the year, but during that last pit stop, look what happened to Scott Sharp. I don't want to say a rookie mistake, but pretty much a rookie mistake as he came in to pit road.
Well, here he is right now. He's coming through. Watch him run over the line, but just ran over the line. That's a different pit box for a different team. So now he's got to go down and find his own pit box. Lost some time, and you talk about a rookie mistake. I know Scott well enough. He's not going to be very happy with that. It really was a rookie mistake.
Well, mental lapse, and I can't imagine the shock he got when he pulled into that one pit stop, asking for a little extra fuel. So Scott Sharp back up and running the 8 Delphi. Back in the running once again. The Toyota Indy 300 will continue after this message from your local cable operators.
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway, the Toyota Indy 300. Tony Kanaan is leading. Helio Castroneves is second. Tim Cindric, team president, and on the radio with Helio. Helio lost the mirror on the left side. How important is it that you eventually bring him in to replace it?
Well, obviously it's a concern of ours, but right now, looking at the mirror, it's actually broke off. So to replace that in the field is going to be difficult. So obviously we're relying on Clive Howell as a spotter. We'll call his inside and see what happens today.
That's Tim Cindric. Helio Castroneves still on the chase of Tony Kanaan.
All right, thank you very much, Vince, as we take a look at the 3 Penske ride of Helio Castroneves. And March 19th and 20th, catch 2 hours of highlights from the qualifying rounds on ESPN2 Saturday at 12:30 a.m. Eastern as drivers try and secure one of the 16 qualifying positions and 2 hours of elimination round coverage from Mac Tool's Gator Nationals on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern as everyone competes for vital Powerade points in the race towards the championship. And for more information, log on to ESPN.com. There you see some of the back markers coming in. Paul Dana making his first pit stop of the race, so he went 44 laps. And there is Ryan Briscoe, another one of the heralded rookies. So far, so good. We talked so much about Danica Patrick, keeping it simple, keeping it consistent. We got to give Ryan Briscoe a lot of credit, especially after the incident he had where he put it into the wall in practice.
I tell you, to me, he's a guy with great promise for this year. And he had a little bit of an incident coming here on Saturday where you really practice coming into the pits. And here's what he did. He's coming in way too fast, and he's in the grass. And at that point, forget about it. You're not getting it back. And I tell you, that was a very dangerous thing that happened because he crossed the racetrack. And if there was somebody coming at speed, that could have been a very, very large accident.
Well, Scott, you talked to Ryan Briscoe, and he seemed to be okay with it.
I talked to him afterwards. He knew it was a mistake. He said, hey, you know something? I just came in there too fast. I spoke to a lot of the other drivers, and they said, you know something? That pit entry road seems to be very slippery this year. Very interesting to note that.
There are your Toyota lap leaders, and it is Tony Kanaan once again. It's the 11th race in a row that Kanaan has led, and that is a new Indycar record as we send it down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, with the green flag wave, Kanaan rocketed from 14th to 8th position and then developed an understeer. He came in on lap 13. They made a front wing adjustment, and the last time he came in, lap 35, fuel only, no tires. He says the car right now is perfect and getting even better.
All right, thank you very much, Doc and Jill. For the rest of the field, that is a scary proposition with Tony Kanaan feeling comfortable at 45 laps in and the car feeling perfect.
Here we go for the start. What's Sam on the inside? I don't know. Sam might have jumped to start there.
On the restart, it's Kanaan with Helio Castroneves right behind him in the 3, and Sam Hornish Jr. in third place. And look at Elio going to the outside.
Wide open. He's by him.
Well, if there's any question about Toyota having the power off the start, we saw they certainly did, both as Elio goes past and now Sam Hornish Jr. is on the high side going around Kanaan also.
It was like a deja vu all over again as Elio gets by, and then his teammate in the identical car, Sam Hornish Jr. right there. So it's teammate versus teammate. You are on board with Tony Kanaan and Dan Weldon. Really, these are the stars we talked about, Jill, at the top of the show. The big players have gone to the front of the pack.
Well, these are the most experienced guys in the most experienced team. So in a way, that doesn't really surprise me. And Tony's trying to find air there, and you can see he can't really find air, but here comes Dan Weldon, very aggressive again around the outside, and he's going to try to keep Sam behind there. Watch him, he's boxing him in. Whoa, I don't like to look at this.
Speaking of here comes Thomas Scheckter right now. Scheckter currently in 5th place, the 4 Pennzoil car, and he's looking for more. There is the front of the pack right now. Elio Castro-Neves in 1st place. His teammate Sam Hornish Jr. now just yields up 2nd to number 26, Dan Weldon. So Weldon right there going high. Now he will drop back down. And what will that do to Sam Hornish? Is that going to suck away all his air?
Yeah, I mean, if he drops back down on the middle of the straight, on the middle of the turn, that's not very good. But as he did there, that's okay. And I tell you, I think he's going to try to go and challenge Elio. Here he comes.
So it's Elio Castro-Neves out in front. Dan Weldon sitting in 2nd, and just like on cue from Gilles de Ferran, Dan Weldon's going to challenge him. Sticking a nose up there, Scott.
Impressive move, but very much a very patient drive for a 26-year-old driver. And right now almost looks like he gave a little wave there when he went up beside Elio Castro-Neves. But that is also power, guys, to be able to go down the straightaway like that around Elio and then just pull in front.
26 is Dan Weldon, your new leader, part of the Andretti Green Team. He was the runner-up last year to this man, Tony Kanaan. And Kanaan currently sitting 4th, but I have a feeling, Jill, Tony's okay with this. He's just being confident, but look at the steering wheel. Scott points that out.
I think it looks a little loose there, Scott. What do you think?
He's not turning it very much, is he, Jill? He's just turning little bits at a time. Very nervous he looks to be on there right now. Probably tells you the car is loose. It's not a very fun ride when it's like that, is it?
No, it's not. See, the comparison is where with Thomas is quite clear. You can see he's steering quite a bit more in the middle of the turn.
There's your Firestone telemetry as we go on board with Thomas Scheckter. 216 miles an hour. The most impressive part of Thomas Scheckter, and I wouldn't expect anything else, bottom of your screen, 101% throttle. He's got that thing mashed.
When the car is handling well, even in traffic, it should be flat all the way around. Sometimes you hear the guys lift like he just did there now. That's a little bit of understeer. That's a little moment. But if the car is handling perfect, one should not need to lift.
So Thomas Scheckter currently sits in 4th place, and it is Scheckter whose driving has been extremely exciting. Dan Weldon leads, but can he hang on? You'll see it all as we go side by side from Homestead, Miami Speedway. Back to the Toyota Indy 300. I'll tell you what, the good folks at Homestead Miami Speedway could have saved themselves a lot of money and not put seats in, because right now no one is sitting down. The racing is that good. Dan Weldon, your leader, followed by Elio Castro-Neves, and we are on board with Thomas Scheckter. There's your running order. Tony Kanaan still lurking in 5th place, and Sam Hornish has been moving some people around himself as he sits in 4th place. And we'd like to thank our sales partners, Toyota, Firestone, Target, and XM Satellite Radio, for their support of ESPN's new side-by-side coverage. It allows you to see today's race even during commercials.
This is what I call formation flying. Elio is not challenging Dan. He's happy with the speed that Dan has. He's tucked in right behind Dan with the fuel all the way turned down, saving as much fuel as he can and trying not to slow down Dan at all, so they can slowly pull away and the race might become just the 2 of them.
Well, Scott, is it too early to talk about pit sequencing and strategy? Because we know Dan Weldon stayed out on the first one. Elio came in, but as Vince Welch pointed out, do you eventually bring him in? It sounds like Tim Cindrix doesn't want to do that. Well, he won't bring him in to do anything with the exception of fuel and changing the tires and maybe a couple adjustments on the car. The most important thing right now is we saw Elio really get close up beside or behind Danny Weldon, just trying to save that fuel. The key issue right now for both these guys, stay in line, save fuel, and try to get to the next yellow so you don't have to pit underneath green. Gilles, this field is too talented, though, for these two guys to tuck and run away, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. They seem to be doing a really, really good job of that, and I think more to Dan than anything else, because Dan is really pulling this train at a very fast speed at about 212 miles an hour, which is, you know, if you compare it with qualifying speed, that's very fast.
So it's Weldon and Castroneves 1 and 2. There is the 4, the yellow car of Thomas Schechter, who has given us some extremely exciting moments. And on the inside, we've got a yellow once again. Coming out of turn number 4. An unfortunate turn of events
I think
for
it's
one of the
Briscoe.
target Chip Ganassi rides.
I think it's Ryan Briscoe.
And it's Ryan Briscoe, the rookie we talked about from Australia, was having such a good run.
That's the second accident for that team this weekend with Briscoe. We showed you the one earlier where he actually slid off the pit entry lane coming into the pits. Last year they lost a car here also with Scott Dixon coming into the pit lane and hitting the wall on the entrance.
Well, I'll tell you what, that wall coming up turn 4 has really been his bad mojo area, because this is exactly, Gilles, where he went into it on practice the other day.
This is a much bigger accident, though. Let's see what happens.
There's Briscoe, number 33, in the right side of your screen.
Yeah, he gets too close behind AJ Ford. The fourth loses the aerodynamics of the car, loses the rear end, and at that moment, you're a passenger.
Goes up and hit that wall that we see right there. That's the safer barrier, the steel and foam energy reduction wall, which really takes out some of the bite when you hit the wall.
So Ryan Briscoe's day is done. Let's send it down to pit row and Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, Chip Ganassi is the team owner for number 33, Ryan Briscoe. Chip, I just talked to you a moment ago. I know he's a rookie in this league. I know he has a lot of experience in an open wheel car, though. What happened just now?
Yeah, just, you know, the car was a little bit loose there, and he got up, you know, his behind foot, and the front end pinched, and it, you know, broke the back end loose, and he couldn't hang on to it. So the good news is he's okay.
He was running off the pace a little bit. Was there anything that led to this?
No, you know, we just had on our last stop, we didn't just ensure we liked that set of tires. And he said, you know, the balance changed a little bit on him, and we were just hanging in there minding our own business. And, you know, it's a rookie mistake, but he'll learn from it, I'm sure.
Chip Ganassi has 2 other cars to worry about. Todd?
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. As Chip pointed out, the good news is Ryan Briscoe's okay.
Yeah, he's okay, and that was, like Chip said, definitely a rookie mistake. I mean, he got too close, and he should have known better, I guess.
Well, if you're just joining us, we are 64 laps in as we take a look at this race summary. A green flag, and they got up to speed rather quickly. Dario Franchitti breaks loose, and his day was done. Thomas Schechter gave us a quick beat of the heart as he dips below the white line. Tony Kanaan, as he said at the top of the show, he would not stay back for long. It started 14th, moved all the way up to the lead. And there is 16, Danica Patrick. We've talked about a lot today, the only female in this group, and she is going to follow the majority of the crew as they come in. The pits are now open. Scott, we talked about the pits and how important they were, and her crew did a great job of being extremely consistent with her and not putting her under any duress as we sent it down to Vince Welch.
Well, it is going to be a busy pit lane. We're following Buddy Rice, who's coming in. Buddy had a shift problem on his restarts earlier, and that's why he had slipped all the way back to 15th. Now he's back up to 7th. They're just going to change the 4 Firestone Firehawks. They're going to fill it full of fuel. The fueler is Mike Fisher. He's got it in. And they're also going to give 3 clicks in the front wing, and that'll give you an indication that the car has been struggling. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Tony Kanaan has 51 laps on these tires. He is down and away. They made a slight air pressure adjustment on the reigning champion's right rear. Otherwise, a flawless pit stop.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. There you see our graphic at pit exit. It's Castroneves with the quicker pit, so he moves up. Dan Weldon drops down 1, as does Sam Hornish Jr. also moving up. The green arrow shows they've moved up a position. The red one shows they've dropped a position. But I got to tell you, it doesn't surprise me with the Penske's. Jill, you know maybe better than well, they have got that pit stop thing down to a science.
They do some fantastic pit stops, and Elio's crew has been with them since the year 2000 when I was his teammate, and they have always been quick, and here it is again.
So Elio Castroneves pits under yellow after the Ryan Briscoe incident in turn number 4. Marlboro Team Penske, little graphic there. Most career wins. Rick Mears, Alonso Jr., Danny Sullivan, Elio Castroneves. Some pretty good names of racing right there.
Well, Penske's the most winningest team in IndyCar racing history. not only at just all the racetracks around the country, but also Indianapolis, so not surprising to see that. One thing I did notice, guys, throughout that whole pit stop selection is that Danica Patrick just stayed in the same area that she was in before, so at least she's not losing anything on these pit stops that are coming through for her for the very first time.
Fantasy teams and fantasy games seem to be the rage. ESPN Interactive's all over it. IndyCar Series Challenge, ESPN.com. Keyword fantasy game. I'll tell you what, right now you'd have to pick up on your fantasy team Thomas Scheckter and Helio Castroneves. They seem to be the most motivated out here today at the Toyota Indy 300.
Yeah, I think Dan Weldon so far the biggest surprise.
Well, we are under yellow currently at Homestead Miami Speedway. Ryan Briscoe, the rookie from Australia, coming out, and Gilles, I hate to say it, but it was a rookie mistake. His own team owner said this. On the right side of your screen, the 33 just loses everything. And Scott, at that point, Gilles makes a great point. You're pretty much a passenger.
Well, I think we learned something from Chip Ganassi when he said the car was already loose. So if an experienced driver knew that, he would get away from those 3 cars in front of him, get away from that dirty air until he can get in through the next pit stop and make an adjustment. But as a rookie, you don't know that, and here you are. You pay the price for it.
It's a shame because you really want to try to finish your first race. And I think Ryan is a guy with a great potential. I think he's going to be strong all season long. And getting a checkered flag in your first drive is it's a nice thing to have.
So Ryan Briscoe's day is done, as is Dario Franchitti. There is Roger Penske, the car owner for Helio Castroneves and Sam Hornish Jr. I'll tell you what, it's been a busy year for Helio Castroneves. He was with Shaq earlier, cavorting with one of the best NBA players, and then he made a trip across the Atlantic. And Helio Castroneves actually had an audience with the Pope, one of the most emotional experiences he's said in his whole life. And the Pope not doing well right now. We send him our best wishes. But Helio Castroneves, a very busy year as we go back down on pit row with Vince Welch.
I was talking with Tim Cindric, the president of Penske Racing, and he controls the radio with Helio Castroneves, and I asked him what is the key for the Penske team today, since they believe they're a little down on horsepower compared to the Chevrolets and to the Hondas, and he said lots of pit stops would certainly help us and plenty of traffic. Those are things that make strategy come into play, and that's where we believe Team Penske is at its best. And so far today, guys, we've had lots of traffic and lots of pit stops, and that's falling right into line with what Marlboro Team Penske wants.
Well, the Toyota 300 is live, and we are keeping you in the driver's seat, this time in Thomas Schechter's driver's seat. And how do we do it? With side-by-side action only on ESPN. Visor cam in full effect of the Toyota Indy 300. Your leader, Helio Castroneves, followed by Dan Weldon, Sam Hornish Jr., Thomas Scheckter, and Brian Herden. Helio has led 100 or more laps in 3 of the last 4 races in 2004. And Scott, talk about momentum.
Momentum, he always likes to get a great restart. Maybe got on the gas a little early in turns 3 and 4, but you know he's not going to be around sleeping.
We saw Helio do that at the finale last year in Texas. I don't know if he jumped the restart, but he sure is good at getting on it quickly.
He is good, but that's what you got to do, you know. It's your lead to maintain. And sometimes you're a sitting duck, and here comes Dan Weldon and Thomas Scheckter around the outside. I think we'll see everybody do the same thing as they were doing prior to the pit stop again.
Thomas Scheckter, not a firm believer in letting the tires warm up. Dan Weldon now overtakes Helio Castroneves. It is Weldon, Castroneves, and Scheckter sitting in third as he gets awfully close to Sam Hornish Jr. Hornish Jr. just sent a little message. No time to shake hands.
You know, these guys have been doing this for about the last 15 laps. Every time they get coming out of a turn, Sam tries to move them a little bit higher, and Scheckter tries to put them a little bit lower on the racetrack. They're just battling for position. Neither one of them are going to get their foot off the gas, guys.
They're showing each other some love.
Yeah, just the kind of love you need. Thomas Scheckter on the left side of your screen, the 4 Pennzoil Panther ride. He is running a Chevrolet. Next to him, very close next to him, is the 6. And then is Sam Hornish Jr., the Marlboro Penske. He was the guy who won here last year. And on the outside, Brian Herden decides to join the party. If 2's good, 3's even better.
You know, there's Brian Herden, 34 years old, against these guys that are in their 20s right now in that XM satellite car, trying to take advantage of those 2 guys fighting. And right now, Kanon's going to come up. That's not going to be good, guys.
We got a Honda, a Toyota, and a Chevy all battling out for about 15 feet of room. And Tony Kanaan decides to join the party as he slides to the inside of his teammate Brian Herta, and Herta lets him go by.
thank God he backed off a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know where that was going to fit. Just think that this is at 215 miles an hour, top speed, 212 average they're doing right now.
We are not even halfway, and I think every single one of these drivers flunked geometry. There's no way you can fit that many cars in that small of a space.
I want to know what these people had for breakfast this morning. Certainly, I don't want to have it.
As you guys do that, it brings up good points, Jill. You look down. Scott Goodyear brought this point up earlier. You look at this now as a former driver. What do you think of what these guys do?
I think I must have been insane. I don't remember doing anything like that.
You know, it's funny, I can remember having a conversation with my wife, Leslie, about this when I retired, looking at this race and going, I can't believe how close these guys are doing it. She said, you know something? I've been watching this for years, and you guys never seem to realize what the spouses feel.
Selective visuals. Dan Weldon has certainly got a burr under his saddle as he has gone out front and starting to check away from Helio Castroneves, who leads the second group. It's Castroneves and Thomas Scheckter right there. You can see the top of your screen just how far ahead Dan Weldon is.
I tell you, Dan Weldon is really checking out. He's being very, very impressive today. I didn't expect him to go that fast, but hey, he's proving me wrong. Oh, so close.
That is the picture of trust when you can go 214 miles an hour with a guy. That is unbelievable. 2 feet apart.
I'm glad I'm here in the booth with you and not out there right now.
And Tony Kanaan looks like he made some changes that last pit stop to make his car a lot more comfortable, because now he's being able to weave in around the traffic and 3 wide going into turn 3.
But once again, the common denominator here is Thomas Scheckter pushing the issue.
Wow.
Look at
mercy.
Spotter, talk to me. Tell me where he is.
They are going to scrape the Firestone paint off those white walls any second.
They don't want to touch. Touching is not an option. I might need to sit down to watch this.
That is skill.
See, Castroneves' spotter came through, Clyde, and said, you know something, right now, 2 outside, telling him to stay on that low lane. Don't take up any more space, otherwise you're going to cause an accident.
And here's Thomas slowly pulling away from Elliott, trying to get to Dan Weldon. I think that's why Thomas was so aggressive, because he doesn't want to see Weldon pulling away. Ooh. Oh, see that lift there? Oh, that was a moment.
That was a moment, Joe.
That was definitely a moment.
Well, you always need the right tool for the job, and today the right tool is ESPN side-by-side. Toyota 300 is live, and we're keeping you in the driver's seat with side-by-side action on ESPN. Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. It's the Toyota Indy 300. We are 83 laps into this affair, and I'll tell you what, folks, this is a lot more exciting than watching Martha Stewart come out of prison, as Tony Kanaan and his closest friends are going wheel to wheel at over 200 miles an hour.
You know, Jill, you and I talked about this before. I can't believe how close everything seems to be right now. These guys, as you said, have been sitting around all winter. They've been dreaming about doing this. Or, I mean, I can't remember coming out of the box and being this close to guys at this speed.
I tell you, so much for my prediction of falling in line and traffic etiquette and taking it easy and saving fuel and all that. That doesn't look anything like that to me.
Well, it seemed like a high-stakes poker game there while everyone was all in. It looks like now everyone's going to lay back a little bit, and as Jill pointed out, they are getting into flight formation, running a smooth line. Your leader continues to be that man, number 26, Dan Weldon, part of the Andretti Green team, the runner-up last year, as he has led 45 laps thus far. And Danica Patrick, the Danica Factory, the only female in the field today, currently 16 right now, and that is her car number, Danica Patrick. But she has been very good, and Rookie of the Year points, gentlemen, are certainly going to come into it as we check in down on pit row with Vince Welch.
Todd, the biggest questions for Danica today were pit stops and running in traffic. She's made 3 pit stops, no significant mistakes. Everything has run smoothly. In traffic, her team says they just want to let her develop her own comfort zone, get comfortable. If she wants to get racy, then get racy. But most importantly, they want her to be around for the entire 200 laps and finish the race today.
All right, thank you very much, Vince. As you were speaking, Danica got a little jiggy on the hand movement right there.
I think a good move by her. You saw Alex Barron just moved up high a little bit. He had to get out of the gas, and she just slid underneath him. She's doing just the right thing, Scott. What do you think?
Still sitting about 3 cars back of you, but he's got nothing for you. Where do you think Bobby Rahal's looking, Scott?
Well, he's just watching all three of his cars out there, maybe with a bit more of a stronger eye towards Danica because she is the rookie in the field, but very impressive run for her right now.
For as young as she is, her composure is so impressive. Her interview with Jamie Little, she seems to get it, and she's not going to go out there and try to wow everyone, not only with her promo posters, but with her driving. She is a very smart girl. As we take a look at number 26, that is Dan Weldon, your leader. There are your Toyota lap leaders. Weldon at 48, Schechter at 13, a very shaky 13 and a very exciting 13. Castroneves 9 and Tony Kanaan at 8. As we send it back down to pit row and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, a moment ago, Michael Andretti and John Anderson and company telling Dan Weldon, be mindful of the fuel. Remember, we have got to be very, very careful. Use the fuel settings. Dan came back and said, guys, when I do that, the car does not like it. Do you understand? When I try to move back the fuel, the car doesn't like it. What's he referring to, guys?
Well, the key thing right now, there's a knob on the steering wheel, Jill, as you know, that you can actually adjust the fuel trim. So it sounds like when the car runs at 100% fuel, the car works very well. Now, maybe there's a malfunction in some of the other settings, and the car doesn't run clear enough for him and feel strong enough. But you know something, Joe, as a race car driver, that's the excuse I'd use, too, because I just want to go fast.
Well, I had that problem before, I must admit, where the car just works on one, what we call fuel setting or trim setting, only a maximum power. And here we watch Thomas Schechter looking back at Eli Castroneves. Yellow. There's a yellow flag out.
The yellow flag is out. Be careful what you ask for, and that is the 15 of Buddy Rice.
Obviously, if you're still rolling, see if we can make it back to the pit here.
Now, we don't know for sure, but...
Get the water ready, pop the motor cover off, put it back down, and get the car out of here.
Smoke coming out of the tailpipe. That's another Honda, guys. It's very strange. We've seen that happen a few times this weekend.
Well, their biggest concern, as you heard them, is they've got to see if they can get it down to pit row. If they can do that, they're going to crack the cover, get some water on it, and try to get him right back out. It looks like Buddy's going to have enough power. That's something we don't want to see. Buddy Rice on pit row when he should be out racing. One of the most talented drivers, winning the Indianapolis 500 last year.
Yeah, shame. He and his teammate Vitor Meira started really well, but now they have a kind of a quiet race.
Vince Welch, what do you know?
Well, Buddy Rice has come in. He's turned the power off. I'm with Scott Rimke. Scott, any diagnosis initially?
No, we're going to take a look at it. Looks like we broke something back there, and we're just getting going, so we'll see if it's fixable.
Never a good sign when you have to turn the power off.
Yeah, it's not good.
Scott Rimke, and as you see, Buddy Rice is sitting, and he is not going anywhere anytime soon. We'll visit with him when he gets out, if indeed his day is done.
All right, thank you very much, Vince. And you can just see the body language on Buddy right now. Not happy about that. There's nothing he can do at this point as he sits there and they try to figure it out. Scott Rimke, one of the best in the business, and looks right now, Scott, like they don't know what the problem really is.
Well, it could be something like a pipe or a hose or something that could have been causing that spray. Very good to see that he actually had the engine running when he came in. You can see all the moisture coming on Scott Sharp's camera right now. A little bit of that gets on the tires too. You know, you got to be very cautious to know how much is actually coming on the track so you don't run inside where it's all wet, because if you do, man, you slide the ball.
And more importantly, the Delphi safety crew out there is going to try to check the track and make sure there's no debris on there as we send it down to pit row one more time. Jamie Little.
Guys, Thomas Schechter running second right now. He's expected to have a routine stop, 4 tires and fuel. Let's see how he does it, guys. He's coming in. And no changes, Vince.
Actually, Jamie, down in the Dan Weldon pit, Mike Horvath and company, the Klein Tools crew, going to work. 4 tires. They'll try to get it completely full of fuel. Dan says no changes on the car. Air pressure. Here comes Schechter rolling. Here comes Elio. Looks like Weldon may beat him off pit road, and Weldon will indeed win the race off pit road.
So Dan Weldon maintains his position, number 1. Then it's Elio Castroneves moving up by virtue of the green arrow. Also, Sam Hornish Jr. So Dan Weldon's going to have a little company from your old teammates, the Penske boys, behind him sitting 2 and 3.
Absolutely. I think what's going on with Thomas Schechter, that every time he comes into the pits, he goes back a few positions. It's because he stopped on the beginning of the pit lane, and I think that's really hurting him every yellow stop. What do you think, Scott?
Absolutely. You have the pit selection in this race from where you finished the championship from last year. It always goes from where you are in the championship. If he finishes up front, for instance, 2nd or 3rd, the next race, he'll be 2nd or 3rd in the championship. He will pit in this 1st or 2nd pit spot. The advantage is always at the beginning of the pit line, and that's the key thing for all these racers.
We are working on lap number 94 for Miami. The Toyota Indy 300 will continue after this message from your local cable operators. And there's a sight we don't like to see. Buddy Rice, when the race is still going on off the track, he is now standing by with our Vince Welch.
Buddy, I heard the crew say there was a lot of oil spray inside the car. Did you have any indication there was a problem?
No, I mean, I think on the lap before it blew up, I could start to smell something. I rated it in, and as we went down the back straightaway, it slowly got really strong, and then obviously as we came down the front sheet, you could see the smoke coming out the rear, so not really sure exactly what happened, and we'll go back and evaluate and get ready for Phoenix.
You moved up into the pack, and then you slipped back into 15. Did you have a little bit of a restart issue on one of the restarts after a yellow?
No, we moved back because we came in for gas and tires, and we had an extra set of tires that we'd been saving, so we weren't concerned, so we thought we'd put new tires on. We could get right up into the top, get up into 5th, 6th spot, and we're kind of hanging out to see what was going to happen, and then just kind of the accordion thing kind of happening, and really the car wasn't that bad. We were making changes, getting better, and we're just waiting for towards the latter part of the race to really start making try to make a big run to the front if we could.
About the track conditions, the racing seems incredibly close.
It's definitely changing. As we're running, it's the band's getting a lot wider for the groove, so I think last 50 laps, 40 laps, it's going to be 2-3 wide the whole time. It'll be pretty stout, but the cars that are set up good are going to stay at the front, and I think there's 5 or 6 cars that are pretty stout.
Let's go to Jamie Little.
Well, I'm here now with Tony George, CEO of the Indy Racing League, but he found himself a new job here as CEO of a race team. Your stepson, Ed Carpenter, out there. I see you got your gloves on. How's it going for you, Tony?
It's going all right. We're managing to stay on the lead lap, but, we hope things will just keep getting better, and we finish this race and have a good result to look back on.
New perspective of the race you didn't think you'd ever have.
Yeah, I usually watch from up on top. It's kind of boring down here watching monitors and can't really see much action.
Hey, welcome to our world. It's pretty exciting.
I think this will be a good second half of the race.
All right, thank you. Guys?
Well, Tony's not obviously watching ESPN side by side because that would hook him right there.
And he's not listening to you either.
But there you go. There you see his stepson, as Jamie pointed out, Ed Carpenter, the 20 Vision car. Guys, this opens up, I don't say Pandora's box, but a lot of, I don't say controversy, but a lot of thought goes into this. Is it okay with him being the head of the IRL, the Indy Racing Series, and also having an interest in one of the cars?
Well, I guess the view that I look at it is that it's his son, and he wants to be able to support him in any way he can, so I agree with it.
You think about Bud Selig, who runs Major League Baseball, also a former owner of the Milwaukee Brewers. Zill, he's kind of wearing 2 hats.
Yeah, there's potential for conflict of interest, but let's watch this green flag.
The green flag is out, and they are bringing it up to speed. Dan Weldon on the inside, and Elio Castroneves is feeling froggy. He jumps to the outside.
Outside, 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 outside.
You like that sound, don't you?
Not clear.
Almost touched there.
Not clear. That's not clear.
Weldon give him a little push, trying to say, I'm coming up a little bit, and Elio has to back off just a skosh.
That's what you're trying to do, is move the other driver up the racetrack so he doesn't get around you. That previous start that we tried to have, Weldon got a jump on it. He obviously didn't get a good enough start. 3 wide right now. Scheckter right in the middle.
Thomas Scheckter once again a factor in tight racing action, and this must be the way Scheckter likes it, as we are halfway through the Toyota Indy 300. And Jill, you happy with what you've seen so far?
I tell you, the spotter upstairs must be going outside, inside, inside. Don't move anywhere.
Got a bit of a square dance call going there, and Thomas Scheckter now sliding back as Tony Kanaan reasserts his position on the track. So it's Weldon, Castroneves, Hornish Jr., Kanaan, and Scheckter.
One of the interesting thing about the spotter, you could almost sense how close the guy was by how hyper the spotter was on your radio. Ooh, what happened there?
Something wasn't right with Tony Kanaan's car. He had to lift off the throttle mid-turn. And right now he's trying to move up to make a little bit less room for the guys trying to go around on the side of him, which right now is Scott Sharp.
Tony Kanaan running wide. He is the defending champion. Currently slides back, and he sits in 5th place. But for a guy who started so far back in the pack, Jill, you said it, he was going to be in the play.
I tell you, I don't know what happened there, but he's been consistently in the front, and he's a new guy coming into the front pack is Scott Sharp for the first time in this race. He started there, but he immediately went backwards, and now he's back up there in the front.
Scott Sharp getting very close with Tony Kanaan, inches away.
Just on your corner. He's holding with you.
You know, and Scott Sharp right now is the oldest driver in the field right now at 37, so he's acting like a 20-year-old. Plus, last year he was always at the back because he didn't have a very good package underneath him. He's probably enjoying this right now, Joe.
And he's got that famous hand style, which Gilles de Ferran absolutely loves.
He keeps moving his hands around. I don't really understand how he does that, and he can still control the car. Most people just hold the hand steady like you saw Tony or Brian Hurd or Dario Franchitti. And here he goes around the outside.
Well, let's take a look at his Firestone telemetry. He's at 100%. Doesn't tell us a whole lot, and he's running speed at nearly 210 miles an hour, sometimes dipping up to 214.
He's doing very well. I think they had 4 pit stops. He probably adjusted his car a little bit, and the car is ultimately handling better. He can follow Thomas very closely there.
What you're saying, Joe, is he didn't go to driving school for 10 and 2 as he starts to now go around both Kanaan and Scheckter on the outside. What a great move.
Scott Sharp on the high side, the 8 car, number 4 in the yellow. That is Thomas Scheckter, and getting around him is the 11, the defending champ, in Tony Kanaan. Dan Weldon continues to lead, but can he hang on with 95 laps to go? You'll see it all as we go side by side. And we are back to Homestead Miami Speedway, Toyota Indy 300, lap number 110. And we'd like to thank our sales partners, Honda, K&N Filters, Pennzoil, Quaker State, and Miramax for their support of ESPN's new side-by-side coverage that allows you to see today's race even during commercials.
You can see Dan Weldon just in the distance there, and he's doing exactly the same thing he did before the pit stop. He's pulling away again, and he consistently runs half a mile an hour faster, 0.6 of a mile an hour faster than Helio Castroneves, who is now running second.
And Gilles de Ferran, the difference is now for Dan Weldon is the fact that he's running that well, but they have leaned the fuel mixture back all the way to P1, being able to conserve fuel. Before, he couldn't conserve fuel because the car wouldn't run that well. Now, he's leading it out, saving fuel, and still pulling away.
Interesting to note when they talk about that, obviously, maybe it was down to a driver's preference, Joe, when he said, you know something, hey, it won't run on that lower fuel setting because obviously it's doing it now. And, you know, as a driver, boy, you just want to go fast, as I mentioned before. So first race of the season, you want to be out front, you want to lead, you want to be ahead of the pack. And so far, he's got his foot 100% on the gas.
Leading by 1.187 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but as you look on the track, he's talking about 50-plus yards, and that is enormous with the talent that's chasing him in the form of the 2 Penske cars, the 3 of Helio Castroneves and the 6 of Sam Hornish Jr.
To be honest, one of the things that allows you to do is just relax a little bit. Take your time to go through traffic. You know, you don't have to worry about guys running 2 millimeters from you like you saw earlier. You know, it just, your body temperature just drops a little bit and you can go through the race.
We've got an international booth and an international field, the Brit out in front with a Brazilian and an American in tow. We want to take this chance to a special hello to our international fans on today's race, which is being watched in over 175 countries and territories worldwide. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to another exciting season of IndyCar racing.
You just saw Brian Hurd have been pushed wide there into the marbles and now getting passed by 2 cars at once.
Number 24 is Roger Yasukawa. We haven't talked about him too much, but he's holding his own.
He's doing a great job. You know, he just has about 1 season underneath his belt so far. 2 races last year. I spoke to him earlier. He said, you know, the key thing I want to do today is finish. I haven't been in the car for a while. I want to get miles underneath me. Spoke to Robbie Buell the other day, the team owner for that team, and he said, I'm just so happy we are competitive.
He always struck me as being quite a smart guy. Every time you talk to him, he seems very polite, and, you know, he's a clever man, and I think he's got a good future in the sport.
Lap 118 of 200, and you heard Buddy Rice tell our Vince Welch, look to the last 40 laps. The cars that are running the best there, it's going to be a shootout. And I've got to think right now it's going to be Dan Weldon, the 2 Penske cars, and I cannot factor out Tony Kanaan and, of course, Thomas Scheckter as we check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Hey guys, here in the Dan Weldon pit, take a look at this guy. He's been gone for a while. That is the veteran general manager John Anderson replacing Tony Cotman here. And John Anderson has been around open wheel racing for about 3 decades and has had tremendous success in every major venue. Michael Andretti was just tickled to get John Anderson back in his pits here, and he is doing a masterful job of talking to his driver, talking him through fuel consumption, and also making slight adjustments on the car and air pressure-wise. He says, you know what? I don't want to wait till next week. I want my first win in IndyCar racing for the IRL to come today.
All right, thank you, Doc. Dan Weldon currently in first place. He started 11th, but Gilles, not a big surprise. How soon, though, do we talk about pit strategy? Because remember, he did not go out on the first pit.
Well, he's definitely consuming more fuel than everybody else because he's facing the wind. Now we see Thomas Scheckter.
Excuse me, Gilles, I started to step on you. It sounds like Thomas Scheckter has a problem. Let's check in quickly with Jamie.
Guys, Thomas Scheckter, the number 4 car, just radioed in and said that he thinks that the left front nose fence, this part right here, is broken. They did confirm that that's what's happening. The next stop, they may replace the entire nose.
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. Unfortunate turn of events. We'll see how that plays out for Thomas Scheckter, but it is Dan Weldon who leads the Toyota Indy 300. Can he hang on? You'll see it all as we go side by side only on ESPN. Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. Lap 125, we're scheduled for 200, and we would like to welcome the men and women of the U.S. military who are watching today's race on American Forces Network around the world. And we send you our profound thanks. There's your running order: Dan Weldon, Helio Castroneves, Sam Harness Jr., Tony Kanaan, and Thomas Scheckter. Gilles, really all the players we talked about, but fuel is seeming to be a big play right now, a big issue for all of these drivers up front.
Everybody seems to be settling down, falling in line. Now and then you see somebody that thinks they got a little bit of faster car trying to move ahead of the other, but mostly they're being well behaved now. Just because I said that, here comes Thomas trying to pass everyone.
There's a surprise, Scott. Anything surprise you so far with 127 laps into the book?
Well, the one thing I'm pleased to say that Roger Yasukawa right now is right behind Thomas Scheckter. We mentioned him a moment ago. He is starting to look like he's ready to get up in that pack and get racing.
Thomas with that problem on the front wing, we just saw him earlier on. He's playing with the weight jack and trying to probably reduce understeer. I suspect he's got a little more understeer in his car now. And you can almost tell that the wing there is just falling a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down all that much.
Well, these cars are so aerodynamic, Jill, as you know. Probably just that little small wing malfunction that he has, either with a bolt coming loose or maybe rubbing against another car, would be enough to give you understeer. So they're talking about changing that whole front wing. I will tell you what, that's a big change.
As we take a look at our Toyota lap leaders after 127 laps, it is Dan Weldon with the majority of them at 87, then Thomas Scheckter at 13, Castroneves 9, and Kanaan at 8. Also heard in the play, he had 5, Carpentier, and Mira had 1 lap led. And once again, Thomas Scheckter mixing it up, this time with Sam Harness Jr. goes to the inside, and Harness Jr. coming down on him, and Schecter's not going to budge.
I think he surprised Hornish when he actually dove down the inside like that and wouldn't let Hornish get back down the racetrack. Those guys seem like they've had a battle since the start of the green flag.
That was a very, very close call, let me tell you.
Number 24, Roger Yasukawa, running side by side with 11, the defending champion, and Tony Kanaan. But your leader continues to be 26, Dan Weldon, out in front with Helio Castroneves in second. Thomas Scheckter now in third, and he's looking for more.
Jill, I think you brought up a great point as they're getting close right now. Remember, still 212, 14 miles an hour, only 6 inches apart from each other. The key thing I think that you mentioned, Jill, is that those adjustments that he did with the weight jacker inside the cockpit probably have helped that wing that has been broken for the car to handle. Wow.
I thought they touched there. Did they touch there?
It looked awfully close. With Thomas Scheckter, no, look at this.
Ellio's telling him, use your head, calm down.
There's still a lot of race to go, and Helio Castroneves and Thomas Scheckter engaged in the swapping of recipes of some sort, and Helio Castroneves gives him the international signal of use your head, according to Gilles de Ferran, and they continue to stay side by side as we go 3 wide.
Just getting through some passing traffic right there with the 20 car of Ed Carpenter.
Oh my. We are working lap 133 of 200. And we are bringing you continuous coverage on ESPN side by side. Back at Homestead Miami Speedway, a picture-perfect day to go 200+ miles an hour with your closest friends as we take a look at the running board. Dan Weldon out in front. Thomas Scheckter now moving into second. Sam Harness Jr. in third. His teammate Helio Castroneves now sits in fourth. And Tony Kanaan, he is lurking like a great white shark in 5th place. Well, your NBA looks like this once again on Sunday night. ESPN's NBA matchup features some of the biggest superstars in the league as Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat try to preserve a likely top seed in the playoffs, while LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers are looking to get one step closer to their first trip to the playoffs in 7 years. NBA Sunday on ESPN at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And for more, log on to ESPN.com. We send it down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, here's the deal with Dan Weldon right now. They are holding their breath on the fuel mileage. They are playing with the trim, according to John Anderson. That is a quote. He said, we need to get to lap 147 to make it the rest of the way on one more stop. We may not get there. We may have to come in after 144, 145. They are getting ready for him to come early, but they're praying for lap 147.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. Dan Weldon continues to run out front, and they're hoping right now that the fuel economy pays off.
Now I understand what's going on. That's why everybody backed off on the fuel. They are trying to make it to the end of the race with only one more pit stop. And for that, they have to stretch this stint as much as they can.
A lot of smart minds down there with 57 laps to go. If you're Dan Weldon, do you stay out front or do you let someone else maybe slide around you and tail and draft off them, save some fuel?
Well, he's got enough of a lead right now that he can just throttle back and be as lean as possible without hurting the engine performance and without hurting the engine internally, and just follow what the pits tell him to do and follow their instructions.
And Gilles, if you're Thomas Scheckter, would you work with the Penske guys to try to reel him back in? I know that's hard to say after Elio and Sam have had such a great day together.
I think what happened with Thomas Scheckter is he gave up that option. I think that's why we saw him a few laps ago decided to go to second place, really put the fuel all the way up and go forward, because he said, I don't think probably I can make it with only one more stop, so I'm going to go and try to catch Dan Weldon and win by virtue of speed.
Dan Weldon has a sizable lead right now as you are on board with Thomas Scheckter. The number 4 Pennzoil Chevrolet, he won the pole and started on the front row, which gave a lot of hope for the folks at Chevrolet. His teammate Thomas Enge, his day not as good as the Rockstar Chevrolet, did not have a great run here today, but this is the battle for second place. Thomas Scheckter and Sam Hornish Jr., both of them over 212 miles an hour. And the race record is 153.7 miles an hour. Today's average 154. Thomas Scheckter, though, Scott, has had a history of running out of gas. He did it last year in Michigan. Is he going to push it this year, or is he going to play it a little more conservative, knowing that he has the power today?
Well, you know, that's not really up to the driver, because all those calculations are actually done in the pit lane by the engineers. And right now, as we watch Brian Herta come in for a stop, maybe a little bit earlier than what we anticipated, which will really have an effect on see if he can get to the race on this one last stop. It's always up to the guys in the pits, the engineers, to decide when to make the driver pit for fuel.
Also, the 20 car of Ed Carpenter, the Vision ride, has come in for pit as well, and he stalled it. Brian Herta stalled it.
You can see the starter in the very back there. The guy in the center drops over with the electric starter to restart the car. Fire it off it goes.
17 Vitor Mira also takes this opportunity to come in as we go back on board. And this is Thomas Scheckter coming in. He has certainly been a factor all day long. And for more on Thomas Scheckter, let's check in with Jamie Little.
He certainly has. He comes in position 2. He's expected to get fuel and tires. Remember, we talked about that issue on the front wing, guys. It looks like it's fine at this point. They're going to look at it. They may replace the nose. It looks like all's okay. And they're letting him go.
Elio Castroneves is getting ready to come in for his stop as well. And one thing is worth noting here with this Castroneves team, the team is using a new fueler because the single-point fueling system is a heavier apparatus than what was used before. So John Hazlitt, a 22-year veteran, used to fuel for Immo back in the late 80s, is over the wall once again and fueling for the 3 car. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dan Weldon has made the call. I got to come this time, guys. So they are over the wall. Mike Horvath and company and the Jim Beam Klein Tools crew. See if they can give him a great pit stop. Remember the last stop under yellow? They were the best on pit road and got him out first. They're waving now. Horvath, they're reminding him 60 miles per hour. There are lines buried here in the concrete on pit road. Dan Weldon, hopefully the final stop of the day. We'll see if they can get it done. Horvath, right front, right rear tires are on. Left side tires. Don't have to worry about waiting for the fuel. Yes, get it completely full of fuel. Wait. And he is away.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Jerry Punch. So the drama plays out with 50 laps to go here at the Toyota Indy 300. Sam Hornish Jr. now is your leader, followed by Tony Kanaan, and we check in one more time with Vince Welch.
No major changes expected on the 6 car for Sam Hornish Jr. They're filling the fuel, going all the way to the top, and away goes Sam Hornish. Let's go up the lane to Jerry Punch.
Final pit stop for the day for Tony Kanaan, the reigning IndyCar champion. Great stop for Kanaan. He burns it out. And although he will lose a spot here on pit road.
Great drivers, great pit reporters, and we are set to go with 49 exciting laps as we got a bit of an incident here on the infield turf. What could have caused that?
I don't know. That's strange. I've never seen the grass caught fire like that in the inside of the racetrack.
Well, you know, makes you wonder if something actually came off the cars going into the pit entry road, and actually, because the piece is so hot on the race car, set the fire ablaze. So to see if they're actually going to stop the race to actually put that out.
That is in turn 4 on pit entry, and they've got problem with Foyt, and it looks like they might have a partial fire there as the water splashes around.
Todd, what happened is they had an initial spill when AJ spun out and right up his tires. He was on fire and it sprayed all over the place. Everybody's okay down here. They've got water. Looks like they have the matter under control.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Be safe. The great thing about that is they dump the water in there and it dilutes it greatly as the yellow flag comes out. So Weldon continues to lead. The Toyota 300 is live, and we're keeping you in the driver's seat with side-by-side action right here on ESPN.
Welcome back to Homestead, Florida, here at the Toyota Indy 300. We just had a pit incident just a few moments ago. I'm here with 4-time Indianapolis 500 champion AJ Foyt. It was excitement here a few moments ago. What happened?
Well, actually, on the fuel probe inside the car, for some reason, hung. It's all a brand new deal they come out with, and you know, a lot of guys aren't familiar with me, and why the one in the car hung, I don't know. We've never had that problem before, but just one of them misfortune things, you know. It happens every now and then.
He's talking about the single point fuel, guys. Having a little issue here. Everybody's okay. Dr. Punch?
Down in Dan Weldon's pit, John Anderson talking to his driver right now, and they were really concerned about making it the rest of the way. We'll get in here and ask John a question. And John, what does this yellow do to your concerns now over fuel? I know you guys were very close.
Yeah, we're breathing a little easier. This that should have been our last stop, and this yellow was obviously helping quite a bit.
Can you go full fuel now and run like you wanted to early in the race?
No, we'll be a little conservative. We've got a point position to protect. So we'll just wind it back and see how it goes, but he seems to be able to put it where he wants and when he wants.
Still a little bit conservative here in the Weldon pit. Let's check in the Penske pits with Vince.
With Roger Penske. Roger, you told me before the race you hope to have your 2 guys running together up near the front, and right now they're running 2nd and 3rd. And so the strategy is working. What about fuel the rest of the way? Are you good to the finish?
Well, we ran 56 laps on that last stint. We only need 42 or 43 to finish, so quite honestly, I think we're going to be in good shape on fuel.
Do you try to pass Weldon as a team, and that way you go 1st and 2nd instead of 1st and 3rd?
Well, he looks awful strong out there. I just like to be where I am, close to the finish there in 2nd and 3rd, and see what happens in the shootout.
Good run for Team Penske so far today.
All right, thank you very much, Vince. We've got 45 laps to go at the Toyota Indy 300 Homestead Miami Speedway. Dan Weldon leads. Can he hang on? You'll see it all as we go side by side on ESPN. Back to Miami, and we have had a multiple car crash. That is Brian Herta, the XM satellite number 7. He is moving inside the car, and it was just after the start on the green. And Jill, that is the worst side right there, fire.
Yeah, that's Danica Patrick there. That's an unfortunate end for her. She opened her visor. That means she's probably okay, but that fire doesn't look too good to me.
Well, the Delphi safety crew is on their way, and this was just after a restart, and Danica was actually being recycled back for a pit entry violation, carrying too much speed. But they've got to get there and get that fire out quickly. Meanwhile, they're at Brian Herta right now, and there's a lot of debris on the track. So another yellow comes out, and we will hopefully get word momentarily. Scott Sharp also caught in that one, and the 55 of Koski Matsura.
A lot of cars.
That's a huge amount of cars, guys. They just got a complete amount of cars right in turns 3 and 4 as we watch Scott Sharp start to get himself out of the car. Obviously, he's doing just fine.
Was 6 cars, Scott?
6 or 7 cars. I mean, we have just lost a large amount of the field because I think somebody just started to slide sideways in turns 1 and 2 on the restart. And once you do that, boy, you just collect a lot of guys to go along with you.
Koski Matsura out of his car. That is Ed Carpenter, number 20 on the Vision Racing. His stepfather, of course, Tony George. His mother will be happy to see that as he gets out of the car. So far the reports have been good that everyone is up and walking around. We're going to have to go back to this and see what exactly triggered this. Thomas Scheckter also collected in that. So the count continues to go up on lap 159, a major incident. And here it is.
There we go. 3 cars side by side going through there right now. The car on the top, number 55, Kotsky Masur, is up in the dust, up in the dirt. The back end goes around, goes along and collects everybody. And now he's going to hit his teammate right there, Scott Sharp, right in the side. So that's just cold tires, Jill, as you know. And being up there as the race continues on, a lot of debris starts to get up there, and it's not the place to run.
Well, let's look at the view from Thomas Scheckter, and this should be extremely dramatic.
A great start by Kotsky on the right-hand side. Absolutely, Todd. Starts to come down a little bit. You see the back end starting to slide. That's what we call oversteer. Turns around and just collects. Thomas Scheckter almost got through with it.
Here's Danica. Now, she tried a risky move. She dropped down low. She saw the incident early. Look at this, Jill. Clips Ed Carpenter.
She clips Ed Carpenter. She didn't back off. She went.
Oh, she's walking. Danica's up and
that's
walking.
Good news.
That's good news.
I tell you, that was an unbelievable incident. Kotsky obviously got caught out, like Scott said, with cold tires and low pressures, lost the car. Danica was coming down the inside, and she probably didn't see the whole incident developing and kept her foot in to go down the inside.
There's Ben Patrick, Danica's mom. Get her word quickly that her daughter is okay. She looked a little disoriented right there, almost like she wanted to walk back. Let's go back and watch the onboards now. This is in real time at 200+ miles an hour. On board with Thomas Scheckter.
Backs off a little.
There's Kotsky Matsura.
He loses it.
This is Danica Patrick. Now she drops to the inside trying to avoid the incident.
She backs off a little. She's on the curb.
See, at that point in time, Ed Carpenter could have been back on the gas because the accident was beside him.
Oh, and it looked like everyone lifted. Yeah,
she almost made it through.
Yeah.
She was almost all the way down on the apron underneath the white line to try to avoid Ed, and there was no way of doing that, unfortunately.
Well, it was a high-risk, high-reward kind of move. Unfortunately, it did not pay off for Danica Patrick. Let's send it down to pit row and Vince Welch.
Bobby Rahal was just watching the replay of watching the incident. And Bobby, what was your sight line of the incident?
Well, I mean, it all happened in front of her, and she was doing right, and then Ed Carpenter was about 5 laps down or something like that, was in the middle of that restart, why I don't know, and he parked it in the middle of the incident, and she just caught up to him. But she did a great job all day, made a lot of good passes, and it's just unfortunate. I think she was feeling comfortable, and big accident.
Pit stops and traffic, I know, were the 2 main areas of concern for her coming in today. How would you grade her in those areas?
I'd give her pretty good. I don't know if I'd give her an A, but I'd certainly give her a B. I mean, the restarts were, some were good, some weren't so good. No, but that's just the experience factor. A lot of those restarts, it depends on who's leading the restart. And some of these guys continue to play games, you know, while they're leading the restarts, and it just stacks up. The further back you are, the worse it gets. So, you know, tough day for her, but all in all, I'm pretty pleased.
That's Bobby Rahal. Now let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Tom Anderson, managing director for Kotsky Matsura. Tom, from your viewpoint here, what do you think happened?
It looks to me like Kotsky got the Panasonic car, had a good run on that group in front of him, and they weren't quite as quick as what he thought. And he had to jump to the outside to go around him, and with a combination of the cold tires and the amount of marbles that were up high, I think it wasn't too many, but it was too many for the situation. So just not enough grip up there, and it looked like back end came around on him up high, and got away from him. So I think more or less a victim of circumstances, because he had guys in front, but there wasn't enough room to do what he had to do to avoid going straight into the back of him, and left him in a position that wasn't really compatible with the tires at that time.
Okay, Tom Anderson. Kotsky, though, is okay, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Jerry Punch. 7 cars involved in that incident in turn number 2, and there they are. Thomas Scheckter, Scott Sharp, Kotsky Matsura, Danica Patrick, the rookie, Scott Dixon, Roger Yasukawa, and Brian Herta, all collected in that incident here on lap number 160. An unfortunate turn of events, But Indy Racing has no timeouts, and the same goes for ESPN. You're watching continuous coverage side by side. We are on lap 164 here at the Toyota Indy 300. If you have been watching, we have gone side by side here on ESPN. As we take a look at our race recap, so far so good as the day started out. Dan Weldon pushing the envelope, moving out in front, carrying a lot of speed, sometimes in excess of 215 miles an hour. But a rookie mistake by Ryan Briscoe, brought out one of our yellow flags, having his problems again in turn number 4 like he did in practice. And just moments ago, 7 cars collected as they entered turn 2, unable to get out of the incident. Several cars lifting, gentlemen, and that just set off really a chain reaction, a domino effect.
Certainly does. We talked about it. It's on cold tires and the dirty air, or the dirty track that's up on the right-hand side, where Koski Masura went as we ride along there with Danica Patrick going over Ed Carpenter. The key thing we talked about, Jill, is that on restarts, the tires are cooled off just a little bit. And the biggest thing is the race wears on. You don't want to get yourself up into that gray area where all the rubber marbles are that are coming off the tires as the race progresses on.
I think it's one of those typical situations where trying to fit 4 cars in a 3-car space. And unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that happens, especially, like you said, when it's up, you're up high, tire pressures are low. It's so easy to lose the car, and then it just set off a chain reaction.
Well, as John Anderson mentioned, just cold tires, not a good combination. We've got the cameras on board, 7 onboard cameras, and our friends over on ESPN2. Here's Scott Dixon's look at the incident as they were coming into turn number 1. He had nowhere to go.
Brian Herta loses it almost all by himself up in front there and takes Dixon out with him. And Jill, you've been through that before too. You know how much that hurts on that impact.
This is on board with Patrick Carpentier. Now he kind of came out of this unscathed.
And it's just raining debris when that happens, guys, because I've been through it so many times that you're just hoping nothing comes in and lands on you inside the cockpit. And you can hear things hitting the car and feel debris actually hitting your suit sometimes, Jill, because it's a dangerous situation.
I actually broke one of my fingers in 2001 in Michigan, exactly in a situation like this.
Well, just a quick recap. 8 cars have been lost today. Schechter, Metzer, Sharp, Herta, Patrick, Dixon, Yasukawa, and Ed Carpenter also out as we send down to Vince Welch.
Well, one of the cars caught up in that belonged to Dennis Reinbold, Ryan Reinbold Racing. Roger Yasukawa started 10th, was having a good run up to 5th at one time. Could he have avoided that incident at all?
He tried really hard to get the Investment Properties of America car down low. Our spotter was talking to him, and he just didn't have time to react. You know, the last thing Robbie said from up top was he had no time to do anything. So Roger's okay. It was disappointing because we really had a great race car today. We had a chance to win this thing. So we made a lot of noise today and had a good run. So that's something we can build on, but it's disappointing when it ends like this.
Good luck in Phoenix.
Thanks.
I tell you, he talked about not having time to react, and that is so true, because when you come in at 200 odd miles an hour, it all starts happening in front of you. The speed differential is so great, and you really don't have much time to react. Sometimes all you do is a small steering correction, be back off the throttle. Sometimes you don't even have time to brake before you hit something.
We want to remind you that after this race is complete, ESPN Interactive, Toyota Indy 300 post-race winner. You can chat with him. Go to ESPN.com, keyword IRL, as we send it back down to the pits, and Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, the good news is everybody walked in on their own graces here. They're going to start releasing drivers, but they said they are going to hold Danica for a little while. She's feeling a little woozy. So tough day for these drivers, but we will have another update coming up, and we'll get it to you.
All right, thank you very much. That's Jamie Little reporting from the hospital area. The good news is everyone walked in, but Danica did look a little disoriented, but she was this close. You know, we've seen racing like that all day long, and she needed about 2 more inches, and she's through there clean. It looks like a genius.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, she chose the inside, backed off a little bit, but you could tell he backed off because there's no sound from the in-car camera, but the speed differential is too great. There's nothing else she could have done.
Well, as we take a look at our Toyota lap leaders as the pace car brings him around one more time, unfortunately, this is going to be a long cleanup. After 168 laps, Dan Weldon has 126 of them. Then it's Schechter with 13, Castroneves 9. Tony Kanaan checks in with 8. Now, Weldon and Kanaan are still in the race. Herta has 5, Carpentier, Hornish Jr., and Vitor Mira with 1.
there are two main things, I think, for those who stay. Cut tires. Did anybody run over some debris? Is that going to be a problem later on in the race with having a flat tire or anything like that? And the other thing is, good news for us is no more fuel worries. They're good to go to the end. Now full fuel, and they're going to be racing very, very hard to the end of the race.
And even better news, Jill, is a 7-car pileup, Scott, at speed, and everyone walks away from it. That's the best news of the day. But now we have what Buddy Rice, really his words proved to be prophetic. With about 30 laps to go, it's going to be a shootout with 10 cars.
And a lot of strong cars that are up front right there. You know, Honda powered cars, Toyota powered cars. We talked about the Chevrolet car of Thomas Scheckter, who got taken out in that accident. Certainly was capable of running here. Here goes Vitor Mir into the pits right now, probably having a look at changing some tires, simply because, as you talked about, Jill, it was a great point. As a driver, you're telling the team, hey, I want to come in and put some new tires on here. I know I've run through some debris. A slight wing change happening there in the front. You can see the work that was going on right there. So he's made a couple of changes, 4 brand new tires.
Not only that, I think it's a great idea. Those are brand new tires. His car will actually be quicker.
All right, let's go back down to the hospital area. That's where Jamie Little has Kosuke Matsuura.
Well, Kosuke's car is the first one we saw having a problem in that incident. Kosuke, what happened out there?
I don't know exactly. After the green flag, I was, overtaking outside in Scheckter. And when I overtake, Scheckter, I think it's Scheckter. I don't know, hit me left rear tire. Or I don't know, something, I had a contact with him.
His car got loose?
No, shouldn't be.
It looked like you slid out, maybe dirty air a little bit?
I'm not sure.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, good news. Kosuke Matsuura is okay.
Kosuke Matsuura, the 2004 Rookie of the Year, and he certainly got loose, no question about that, Jill, but as we saw in the replay, it was a phantom touch if he was touched.
No, I don't think he was touched at all, and to me, he just lost the back end. You know, I gotta hand it to him, though. Sometimes when you just been through an accident like this, you're a little bit confused, a little bit disoriented, so Kosuke, nobody touched you. You just lost the back end.
But did it feel like, Scott, do you think it felt like he was touched from his perspective?
Well, you know, in his mind, he was always all the way past Scheckter, and you see, once you go past him, you think I'm clear, but you know, when the car starts to slide around like that, like Jill mentions, boy, you don't know if he got touched or not, but he should have known that he was up in the gray area there. You're driving the race car, you know the track is great.
All right, so as we go through the field, it is now down to 10. Dan Weldon is out in front. He has looked strong all day long. He has made the right decisions. He's drove aggressively, Jill. What do you think?
He's my pick to win the race. Now, first it was Scheckter, but now it's Dan Weldon.
You can't change this
I
on the
changed
go,
my
man.
mind. It's Dan Weldon.
You should have done like me. I was going to wait till the white flag pick, Scott. On board with Tony Kanaan, and there are your past race winners, and that's what I drew my selection off of. Sam Hornish in 2001, 2002, Scott Dixon in 2003, and then he backed it up last year in 2004. So we check in down with Vince Welch.
Eddie Cheever, anything left for the finish here? Your driver's running 5th, Patrick Carpentier.
Patrick's done a great job. It was kind of like an indoctrination by fire today. It's been a very exciting race. Our cars haven't been as quick as we wanted to be, but if he sticks with the draft, you never know.
Still in the mix, currently 5th on this restart.
With 25 laps to go, we are going green at Homestead.
This is the crucial restart of the race right here.
Dan Weldon, your leader. Sam Hornish Jr. in second, Elio Castroneves in third, and here he comes. Tony Kanaan dips down low.
All that dust you see going through turns 1 and 2 is from the oil dry they put down from the crash that we just had.
Good move by Tony there, got inside of Elio.
So it's Andretti, Green, and Penske right now running in the top 4. 26, Dan Weldon is your leader. Behind him, it's Sam Hornish Jr., the red and white car, and Tony Kanaan, the defending champion, number 11, the Andretti Green team. And then behind him, it's Elio Castroneves.
Dan Weldon is not pulling away right now, is he?
Well, remember, as you talked about, Jill, during the break, this is 100% fuel now for all these guys. Full rich for the fuel for the motors. 100% horsepower coming out of those Toyotas and those Hondas, so we'll have to see if one's stronger than the other.
I think Dan is trying to get in front of Sam in the middle of the turns. You can see him sliding up a little bit onto Sam's line. We'll see what happens here.
As we go on board with Tony Kanaan, you guys are former great drivers, not just good drivers, but great drivers. We were 17 laps.
Very nice of you.
17 laps in yellow. physically, are they ready to go full speed? Obviously, it looks that way, but 17 laps at what, 80 miles an hour?
Yeah, these guys are professionals. They've been through this sort of situation before. You sort of go into a different mindset altogether, start to plan for the restart, so on and so forth. So this is nothing for these guys.
And we'd like to thank our sales partners, GM, Chevy, Castrol, and Electronic Arts for their support of ESPN's new side-by-side coverage. It allows you to see today's race even during commercials. A great thanks to them, but we are down to the final 19 laps. This is where you ratchet it up. Dan Weldon out in front. Sam Hornish Jr. in second. He won here last year. He's got the defending champion, Tony Kanaan, in third, and Helio Castroneves now lurking in fourth.
Dan looks to me like he's got a little bit of understeer. He's riding out the racetrack a little bit. I expected him to be a little more like Tony's line than what he's doing right now.
Tony Kanaan, is he setting up Sam Hornish Jr. because he keeps going to that inside?
Right now he's trying to take advantage of Hornish getting the dirty air off of Weldon, and as Hornish moves up the track in the middle of turns, Kanaan's car is moving well enough for him. He tries to take advantage of dive down low and then push up. Sam Hornish Jr. is hearing him get out of the throttle. That's a big lift down a gear. The car went big time push, then loose on him. He's lucky he didn't get gobbled up by Castroneves.
Castroneves dipping down there precariously close to that white line. He pulls back into position, and right now Helio seems confident just to sit on Tony's tail, but I don't think he was expecting to see that kind of lift.
No, Tony made the car really wide there to stop Helio getting by. Tony had to back out of the throttle. Helio Castroneves was coming with a full head of steam, and Tony made the car very, very wide.
Right now it's a four-car race with Vitor Meira coming into fifth, and he is starting to move up all by himself, but it is Dan Weldon, Sam Hornish Jr., Tony Kanaan, and Helio Castroneves top four with 16 laps to go.
You talk about Meira. Meira might just be back a little bit too far to be able to get a bit of the draft from those guys that are up front. Those top four, Meira did not get around those lap cars on the restart quick enough to get in front with his front group.
Here's Dan Weldon pulling away a little bit at a time.
Do team tactics come into play now? Does Tony Kanaan busy himself with the two Penske drivers and let his teammate take off?
Every man for himself right now.
So Gilles de Ferran says with 15 laps to go, it is every man for himself as we check in with Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, I'm with John Griffin from the IRL. An update on Danica at this point. What is the latest?
She's going to be transported up to Baptist Hospital here in Kendall, South Florida. According to Dr. Bach, our senior technical director, she has a concussion. They're going to take her up to the hospital for precautionary reasons, and we should have an update here by the end of the race.
But she did walk in on her own graces.
She walked in under her own strength, was feeling a little bit woozy, so Dr. Bach wants to send her up to the hospital.
Well, guys, she was running one tough race. We wish her the best and hope to see her next week in Phoenix.
All right, thank you, Jamie, and congratulations to Danica. I got to give her A for effort. It was a tremendous performance. It would have been nice to see her finish, but you know what? I think Bobby Rahal said it best. She did a fantastic job today.
The one key issue with that is she does have a concussion. They'll have to see how the IRL rules to allow her to come back and race in 2 weeks. There's usually a 2-week period right there where you're not allowed to be actually back in the car, so we'll see if she can race at Phoenix.
Okay, it's all about this with 12 laps to go at the Toyota Indy 300. It looks like this. Dan Weldon out in front. Tony Kanaan sits in second place, and the Penske cars of Sam Hornish Jr. and Helio Castroneves have dropped back to third and fourth.
Tony had made a good move around Sam Hornish on the outside of 1 and 2 and just slowly went by him, and now he seems to be able to hold his own, but Sam is very close there. And then Weldon continues to pull away little by little.
And lurking in the background right there is Vitor Meira taking advantage of all these guys starting to mix it up just in front of him. He's getting that draft now that he was looking for before. He's going to enter up into the fray here very shortly.
If you're Dan Weldon, are you buying Tony Kanaan dinner? Because look at the lead he's got, and is that because of what Tony's doing? Look at that.
He's making his car very wide there.
Is he blocking?
Well, you know, he's going to move it around. I can tell you he's looking in the mirrors just as much as he's looking forward right now driving that race car.
I don't think he's looking forward at all.
The 11 is Tony Kanaan. He is running extremely wide, as the two experts say, and he is holding off a Penske charge with 10 laps to go as his teammate Dan Weldon comes forward. That is Michael Andretti, the car owner of the 7, the 11, 26, and the 27. Unfortunately, Dario Franchitti and Brian Herta unable to finish the race, but right now he's smiling because he's going 1 and 2.
You know, Tony's showing a lot of experience there. He's making his car wide without actually blocking, Scott. I don't think he's blocking. He's just using his experience to make sure that these guys don't have a lot of room to go by him.
Can Elio and Sam work together to get around it?
Well, right now, if actually Castroneves can get up underneath Sam's back bumper just a little bit further, maybe they can make that train effect, that slipstream effect, and actually help each other go past Kanaan. But they're going to have some visitors right now with the way of Vitor Mira with a Honda Power, probably looking to go around the outside here very shortly.
You are looking at the battle right now for second place. That is Tony Kanaan. Way out in front is Dan Weldon. He is nearly checked out with 8 laps to go. And we'd like to thank our sales partners, Delphi, Smith Barney, Ubisoft, and ONDCP for their support of ESPN's new side-by-side coverage. That allows you to see today's race even during commercials. With 8 laps to go, it is Dan Weldon out in front, Tony Kanaan holding off the Penske charge.
We talk about the fast laps that Joe was talking about right now, 213 miles an hour plus for Danny Weldon that last time around. And the rest of the guys starting through second place on downwards, there's just 211. He's walking away from these guys right now.
Well, Tony Kanaan, he's been consistent. We talked about it at the top of the show. He was going to be there in the end, despite the fact that he started 11th. Right now, he's running second. And for Dan Weldon, he couldn't ask for a better running partner.
No, he couldn't. Very impressed with Dan Weldon's speed. I mean, he's consistently running 213, which is actually quicker than what he qualified on, and slowly pulling away. Everybody else is running about 211. Look at his lead. I mean, it's half a straight in front of Tony Kanaan, and increasing because Tony's every lap 1 to 1.5 miles an hour slower than Dan Weldon.
His lead now over 3 seconds on the field is Dan Weldon, your leader. Tony Kanaan, number 11, his teammate, holding off the Penskes. And now Vitor Mira has joined in. So you've got 3 guys trying to get around Tony Kanaan. And Vitor Mira's had enough. He's going to move around Elio Castroneves.
Scott's pick.
Well, he did a nice slice job right in front of Castroneves to make sure he wouldn't get that lower line going into turn 3. Took the air away from Elio Castroneves. So now he's going to set his sights on Sam Hornish Jr., who's just in front of him.
It's about that time of the race where the gloves go off, you know. Now it's bare fist.
Well, you got to be close enough to throw the haymaker, and right now they are nowhere near Dan Weldon as Tony Kanaan has kept off Sam Hornish. I think Sam played it right, Scott, with about 20 laps to go, but I don't think he counted on Tony Kanaan running so wide and keeping him away from the battle and Dan Weldon.
Well, there's certainly that factor, but the other factor that he knows right now, he no longer has a teammate behind him. He's now got Vitor Mira, so he's going to have to play double duty, the guy in front and the guy behind here very shortly.
You know, Sam could be playing a little bit of sandbagging here with Tony, because he might be thinking that if he gets ahead before the last lap, he'll become an easy target to Tony. So he might be waiting until the last lap to do his move. Let's wait and see. We've got 2 laps to go going into the last lap now.
Vitor Mira getting a push on the outside. He'll go 2 wide with Sam Hornish Jr. Hornish Jr. on the inside, number 6, still behind Tony Kanaan.
It's a good move.
Oh, Sam made his car real wide going through the turns there, tried to make sure that he didn't give any room to Vitor Mira in that yellow car on the high side.
The white flag is out. Dan Weldon is on the final lap of the Toyota Indy 300, and Tony Kanaan continues to keep them at bay as his teammate runs out in front. As we look to 2004, Dan Weldon did this plenty of times for him, but it is Dan Weldon who is coming around as he enters turn 3, coming out of turn number 4. This will be Dan Weldon's 4th career win, and Sam Hornish trying to get it right. Your winner, Dan Weldon, picks up the victory to open up the series in the battle for second as they come to the line. We know for sure that it's Dan Weldon, and it looks like unofficially Sam Hornish Jr. will grab second, Tony Kanaan third. Vitor Mira checks in at 4th. An unbelievable finish as Dan Weldon brings it home and delivers for the Andretti Green Team. Sam Hornish Jr. must be so frustrated, but he does pick up second. Points.
I told you. I did tell you that he had something in his pocket. You know, it did look like that to me. It was a masterful move by Sam around the outside of Tony.
Michael Andretti and Kim Green, congratulations to them as their driver picks up the victory and 3rd place. As we go back to the line, I'll tell you the battle for first, somewhat anticlimactic. Dan Weldon ran away. This was the battle for second. Sam Hornish Jr. on the left side of your screen, and look how close they got.
He's just driving Kanaan right down to the white line because Kanaan was trying to force him up the road, and we thought that Mira on the high side in the yellow car was actually going to take advantage of everything and get the 2nd place, but it wasn't to be.
So Sam Hornish Jr. at the line gets by Tony Kanaan. says, thank you very much for holding me off for 20 laps. Tony Kanaan finishes in third, and Vitor Meira with a great drive ends up in fourth. But to the spoils go the Brit. Dan Weldon making a mess of the front straightaway here at Homestead, Miami. And I think he's got some experience doing that, Gilles.
Without a doubt, the man of the race today. He was so strong and was aggressive when he needed to be. Went to the front straight away right after the start. He started 11th. Immediately he went to the front. A 10 out of 10 for Dan Weldon today.
So Dan Weldon draws first blood for the Andretti Green team as we send it down to Vince Welch.
Michael Andretti, good to have teammates together there at the end. I don't know if you call that blocking or just wide driving.
No, I don't think so. I think he just was protecting his own position, you know, and, you know, it helped, obviously, to help Dan out. But I think Dan had a quicker car anyway, so.
Congratulations on the win. Just 1-2 in the series last season, 1-2 in the first race today. Does that set the stage for what's to come?
It's awesome. I don't think we've got a 1-2. I think we finished third, actually. I think Tony
did sneak in, yes.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's great. Great for Honda. Great for everybody, the whole team. What a way to start it off, you know. It's going to be a good year.
A lot of folks talk about Dan Weldon maybe projected as the series favorite this year. How do you see it stack up with that group?
I think he is. You know, he's shown now he can drive on every type of racetrack, and I think he's going to be really tough.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Vince. As we take a look at our official results in the Toyota Indy 300, it is Dan Weldon picking up the victory, followed by Sam Hornish Jr. Tony Kanaan checks in at third, then Vitor Meira, Elio Castroneves, Darren Manning getting in at sixth, Patrick Carpentier, Alex Barron, A.J. Foyt with his best career finish for A.J. the Foyt. Also, Paul Dana, congratulations to him, a top 10 finish. So Carpentier and Dana, two drivers making their first series start in the top 10. Koski Matsura involved in that incident, as well as Scott Sharp, Brian Herta, Danica Patrick. We heard from Jamie Little. She's being checked out for a possible concussion. We hope to see her in Phoenix in 2 weeks. But the man of the hour, Dan Weldon, number 26, part of that Andretti Green four-headed monster. And I don't know if you said at the top of the show, but he certainly looked good when it counted.
He certainly looked very good. I mean, in practice, he was good. He had an engine failure. He qualified not so well. He had a fantastic start and immediately to the front.
Scott, you know what a good driver looks like. Is this guy the real deal for 2005?
He's young, he's hungry, he's focused. He's actually drawn from the experience from the other three teammates for the previous year, and I think he's ready to win a championship.
Well, Dan Weldon certainly was on it all day long, and he certainly deserves the victory here as we start off the IndyCar season in 2005 in fine fashion.
Well, he hails from England, but today Dan Weldon is the sweetheart of South Florida. The confetti is flying, and this crowd here that came out to watch exciting IRL IndyCar action have gotten their money's worth, because what a performance today by Dan Weldon.
Quite a battle down at the end, Sam, trying to get by.
High fives here in victory lane. Folks from all the crew, and after he took the checkered flag, he was telling the crew, and now Rick Klein here, the chairman for Klein Tools, giving Dan a big hug. And Danny, what a performance today here at Homestead Miami Speedway. You just walked away there in that final 25 laps.
Man, I'm glad you think I walked away with it. It was pretty tough. Anytime you got Hornish breathing down your neck, it's difficult. But you know, a fantastic job for the team. I mean, they worked very hard on this, and you know, it's going to be a tough season. You could see how competitive it was. But I'm very, very happy with the result. Really good way to start a very competitive 17 race championship. So I'm proud.
Your teammate Tony Kanaan, they have a category in basketball called assist. He did a great job keeping the Penske guys busy when he got around both of them there with about 15 to go.
Yeah, I think obviously my car was very competitive, and here's the boss.
Michael Andretti giving him a big hug, and
but it was you know, the car was just excellent. I think Eddie Jones did a fantastic job, and you know, it's my first time with John Anderson and the boys, and it's just a good team. It's really good to be part of, but we got to keep doing this because you know, Penske are hot on our heels, and so are the other teams.
You finished the year second in the points a year ago. Could this be the omen that this is Dan Weldon's year like it was Tony Kanaan's a year ago?
Brother, we're one race into the championship, one race. There's 16 to go, but if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I just enjoy winning races, so that's what I'm going to do. Who cares about anything else?
One impressive race. Congratulations. Go celebrate, Danny.
Thank you.
Dan Weldon in victory lane here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Thank you very much, Jerry, and a very happy Andretti Green team. Dan Weldon reigns supreme in South Florida.
That's good, huh?
Thanks. So head your back door protector.
Well, guys, I tell you what, Dan Weldon, everyone said he would be a favorite in 2005, and he certainly delivered today.
The neat thing that I think about right now as we watch Danica Patrick as she was coming out in driver introductions is Chevrolet, Toyota, and Honda all seem to be very close this year. Great to see.
Coming up next, the road trip to the Los Angeles Auto Show. And we also want to remind you our next race, the XM Satellite Radio Indy 200 presented by Argent Mortgage, Saturday. That's Saturday, March 19th on ABC Sports. Well, it's been a great day. Unfortunate incident there with 50 laps to go, but in the end, it was Dan Weldon, some tight racing, and that's what we love to see. On behalf of Vince Welch, Jamie Little, Dr. Jerry Punch, Scott Goodyear, and Jill DeFerrin, I'm Todd Harris saying so long from Homestead, Miami. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Your winner from Homestead, number 26, Dan Weldon. We'll see you in Phoenix.